It's now 1 o'clock. I will start this meeting. Just for those that are in attendance, all 14 of you in the audience. Mayor Tate is back from her campaigning, and I will be hosting the meeting today as chair, and she'll be sitting in the chair to my right. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. And the first thing is I'd like to acknowledge that we're having this meeting on the lands of the Sooke Nation, who we share, and are grateful to do that. First order of business is approval of the agenda. Bateman and Tate. Any discussion to the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor? And that passes unanimously. Now we go on to the public questions and comment period. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment? Sure, come on. Just state your name and roughly where you live. Well, yeah, you don't have to have a street address or anything.
My name is Catherine Strongwind, and I'm a resident of Sooke. And I'd just like to start by acknowledging that today is May 5th, the Day of Awareness for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls and Two-Spirit Peoples. I'd like to respectfully request an amendment to the community grant sponsorship policy to require organizations to facilitate Indigenous inclusion where appropriate as part of a larger reconciliation plan for the District of Sooke. Specifically speaking to item and attachment 8 for EMCS Community Kitchen, as both a board member for EMCS and as part of the Indigenous community at large, I support this application. Our winter solstice in December was a big success in bringing the community together to share a meal and music in a family-friendly event. And we would like to continue this dinner every quarter and include the students if possible. Speaking to item 37, Victoria Native Friendship Center application, I also support this application. Sooke does not have a friendship center, unfortunately. However, many of us who have been displaced or who are away from our home communities rely on friendship centers for healthcare, cultural connection, and ceremonies. This project came to the EMCS board, and while it was decided that we would not be the financial conduit organization, the project should move forward at the museum if Sooke Nation does not object. It's a good learning and educational opportunity for everyone in Sooke and a chance to share the Kwakiutl art style as a tribute to the artist and families. Thank you for the time to speak, for your consideration, and for your work.
Thank you for that, and staff will make a note of that first request, please. Thank you. Any other speakers? Hearing none, then we will get on to 5 and 5.1 community grant applications. So we'll go over to Mr. Curry to start it off. Give us a bit of a background of how much we have and what pools of money.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the April 22nd, 2025 special council meeting, council heard the presentations from some of the organizations and deferred the decision to today's date. So today before you, you have all of the applications, some which provided presentations, and the financial impact would be approximately $199,000 of total grant requests. And we have $100,000 set aside in the community grant budget this year. $65,000 of that is from taxes, and $35,000 has been added from the COVID Restart Reserve. In addition, council may access the Climate Action Fund of upwards to $10,000 is available for climate initiatives. And also there's a sponsorship budget available of $12,500, and the last resource, if needed, is council contingency, which is $60,000 for 2025. In the last meeting, we had recommended or had advised just having some caution with using the council contingency at this time without knowing further expenses in the year, which may be required from the contingency. So at this time, I'll pass it back to council. I have a spreadsheet available to go on the screen, and I can follow along as you deliberate each of the grants, and I can add the if you make a clear decision on the amount of funding and the source. And I can also provide any advice as to which fund we would recommend that you use. I have some of my own known notes, which ones would be eligible for each one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Curry. Is there any questions before we begin? Go ahead to Councillor St. Pierre.
Just want to check a few things. What about the money for the climate grants? Are we including that? And
Sure. Through the chair to Councillor St. Pierre. We have up to $10,000 available of climate action funds that can be used for the grants today.
Okay, so I just want to go through this one more time. So with community grants, we have 60K. 65K. We have how much in COVID? 35. Okay. We have another how much? Sponsorship. Thank you.
It's on the
No,
screen
I know that. I'm just
at the top of the screen there.
okay. What about the spa money in terms of art projects?
It could be considered a source as well. I didn't include it. But that's an option. I'd have to just double check the process or the policy to just confirm how it's to be utilized, but I didn't consider it as an option today.
Okay, I know that I am, so we get to get those numbers.
Sure.
I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor St. Pierre. Mayor Tate?
Thank you, Chair. I think you'll probably decide how you're going to run through this, but I'll need to step out on two of them due to a conflict.
Okay, when they come up, you just note the conflict phase.
Okay.
Okay, if, sorry, Councillor Pate.
I'm not sure if Councillor St. Pierre asked this, but the council contingency, we have 60,000. How much of that have we spent this year so far? 4 months in.
Mr. Curry, was that 16 or 60?
60.
60, okay, I misunderstood that. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just loading the budget to actuals here to get a number. Can we come back to that? I'm just waiting for it to load. Thanks.
Okay, if council's in agreement, my suggestion is that we go to each one of these one by one and each put their input into it and then maybe collectively decide of a number. Does council agree? Councilor St. Pierre.
I think that at our last, when we were considering this last time we looked at it, we were looking at certain categories that we'd want to potential or certain items that we just want to remove because they don't actually fit into the rules if they exist.
I think just in clearness, they will come up as we come to them. And if you do not feel that they're supported by whatever clause that you want to use, then we'll deal with them at that time rather than going through and picking off because we all probably got different lists.
Okay, so if I may,
Sure.
do you want to have a conversation about each particular different type of, decision we might want to make as they come up, and then we'll allow that to guide us further? Or
Well, I
we've done it
think
before.
Councillor St. Pierre, I think what we have to do, we just have to take these one at a time and see where it leads us because I can't predetermine everything. I think we just have to do it one at a time. And then if you have an objection to that, then you say that.
Not an objection. I was just, okay, let me, if I have a minute.
Sure,
or two.
go ahead.
Okay, so looking at the policy that we have already, we know clearly that anything that's not actually Sooke related, serving Sooke residents in some specific way, we probably shouldn't be funding. We've all made already within the policy is also not actually paying for operational on a year on. It's supposed to be seed money. Now, if we make a determination before we start looking at all of these as to how we want to use these particular policies, then when we get to them, it's less about, the merit because they all have merit. They're all good asks. And it becomes more about how we want to apply our policy. So I was hoping that we could have a little bit of clarity on how we want to apply the policy. We could figure that out as we come up against them, and that's fine. But if we talk a little bit first, we might just speed things right along. And it's just a thought.
Well,
If you don't want to do it, that's your share.
no, I don't want to do that. I want to deal with each one. Each one is unique. And yes, some will go against the policy, some will partially go against the policy, and some will just vaguely make the policy. And then that's up to us as a collective group to determine whether that is sufficient to grant the amount of money. I mean, these guidelines that we have, the policy, we've used them in the past and sometimes we've thrown them right out the window. So I'm hoping we'll do it with each individual as we go along. And as Mr. Curry will pump in the numbers and we'll see where we're at. And then we'll have to take a second swipe at things and add and subtract if our numbers are too large or too small.
Right.
Does council agree to that format?
I just. Kind of microphone. It's just kind of different than what we've done in the past, so it's kind of like, I'm fine, like, if we want to try this, but it's kind of different than when we've been, so I don't know.
Well, I'm open to suggestions. I mean,
It's a suggestion, so
yeah,
in absence of suggestions.
Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, I'm in support of the chair's process here. I think we have to go through each one in turn, remind ourselves of the details of each in turn. And by the end of and perhaps come up with a number. And that's a number in pencil, and then we'll see how much is being
Correct.
distributed as Mr. Curry keeps the chart. And 90 minutes from now, we can readjust those.
That's how we've done it in the past is we've come to a number amongst us and then gone back and fine tune when needed. So if that's the case, if there's no further objections, Mayor Tate, were you going to comment? Okay, thank you. All right, so I will proceed then. The first one up is First Scouts, Sooke Scouts, and their ask is for $6,000. I will just start it off.
Sorry, Chair, this one, my son is now
Okay.
involved in Scouts, so I'm
All right.
gonna step out of the room.
If I may, this process might be cleanest if a counselor has a conflict of interest for me to just shoot it down to the end and then we can deal with those after we go through the full list.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
Mr. Curry, can you just scroll up on your sheet so that we're looking at what we're seeing on the screen? It shows the fall fair being the first one, just so we're,
I'm scrolled. I think it has to be done on the other computer here.
okay, thank you.
We have different lists.
No, no, it's,
No.
It just wasn't.
Oh, okay, okay.
there we go.
All right, so I'm okay with that. So we'll carry on with item 2, Circular Farm and Foods Society. Who wants to start that off? This is Councillor St. Pierre.
It's not located in Sooke. I don't think we should be funding it.
Anybody else, any comments before I comment? Councillor Bateman.
Well, this is creating school meals through the Flourish School Food Society. So 9 schools in School District 62 will be receiving these school meals. 9 schools within Sooke, within School District 62. So it is impacting locally. I did have a question. Are you seeking grants and aid from other West Shore communities within School District 62, i.e. Langford, Colwood, and Machosen? If so, where does this income appear in your budget? And yeah, and I've also noted we are only able to contribute towards material supplies and the walk-in cooler.
So what is your monetary suggestion?
Well, I think if I've got it straight, I've written down 2,000 here and check that. Yes. Yeah, the materials and supplies for the entire program are 13,000. Walk-in cooler is 15,000. That's 28,000. I have indicated here 2,000 as a third of the 6,000 request.
Councillor Pearson?
No comments.
None?
No,
So you're okay with the 6,000 then? Is that? Well, no, Councillor, it's a $6,000 ask. Councillor Bateman says 2,000. If you're okay with the 2,000, that's fine.
I didn't really kind of understand because they didn't come and give us a presentation. I realize it's located in Sandown. I read the information. I was just trying to go back to look at the letter, but It's 19 schools, it says on my sheet.
Yeah, 19 schools are in school
School
district
district
62.
Yeah.
All right,
And I
but
think there's nine
address the
here.
chair, please.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, no, I'm more inclined to want to know more information, but I could support a small donation towards them because I think it
Okay.
has merit, but I just got to remember what the letter said.
Counselor St. Pierre, your comment, please. How would you-
I already made it.
Six?
I think it's out. No, I would just go 0. I think that we have a lot
Okay,
of
all right, I
organizations
just wanted to hear that,
inside Sooke that need help.
Okay, so we have 0, 2, and Council, Mayor Tate. Your opinion, please.
I would want to know, I'm sorry that I've missed the presentations and I can appreciate that this is coming to our school, but how? I'd rather it be a proportionate. I don't mind giving some, but our school population is small. Compared to the rest of SD 62. The meals that are being provided, parents do sign up and pay, and some are already subsidized. So I don't mind helping to fund this, but it would need to be a portion of the overall.
Okay,
So
all right, thank you, Mayor Tate. Now, last comment to me, I had 0. And the reason being is that the link to our schools was a faint link, that the program is not really supplying the food is the offshoot of their program. And so again, I would think that if it has any merit at all, it would be a $1,000 merit. I cannot support, certainly can't support 6,000. We have a recommendation for 2. And I see a great deal of hesitation. We've got 2 zeros, a 2, and 2 sort of saying that should be small. Is there any chance that we can settle on $1,000? Yeah, we'll have to be a little unorthodox here because, okay, Councillor Bateman's 1,000, Mayor Tate's 1,000, I'm 1,000, Councillor St. Pierre.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, so Mr. Curry, if you could write $1,000 down for that one, thank you. Okay, the next one is Edward Mill Community School. The ask is for $3,500. And again, I will go around and this time I'll start with Councillor Pearson.
I guess my issue is that Edward Milne Community School is lumped together with 3 things. And the total that they're asking for is $11,000, if I can remember correctly. I like the idea of the community cultural kitchen because it was a success. As a member of the public has actually brought to us, and I saw the reports on that. Oh, sorry, my microphone is on. And again, I didn't understand the funding support materials for help, the Kelp mural project. It seems to me like that was kind of lumped in, and I'm not sure. I do agree though that there's some merit to the youth or Sooke youth engagement. It's a good program, but I'm more inclined to.
We're just dealing with number 3.
Yeah, I know, but I sort of have lumped.
I know you, and
I jumped down.
I did the same thing. I understand.
I've got
But
to circle around all 3 together.
Could you just put a dollar amount for the item 3 if you could?
I would support 3,500 towards the community cultural kitchen program. I would personally.
Councillor Bateman.
Okay, yeah, I would.
Microphone.
Microphone. I will go with, I think 400 direct beneficiaries, 900 indirect beneficiaries. I did have a question, and I could have asked that of Ashley Green when she presented to us, what these indirect beneficiaries are. However, this is a monthly meal at the high school, and they will be incorporating the programs that Ms. Strongwind mentioned at the outset, Solstice and Equinox, I think you're planning. So yes, I would agree 3,500.
Okay, Mayor Tate. Councillor St. Pierre.
I'd like to have a motion arising for staff to access the UBCM Urban Communities Partnering for Reconciliation for ongoing funding for these. Then it doesn't come out of this pot of money and it comes out of UBCM's monies, and we could just keep doing it as a support for reconciliation.
Okay, so you're wanting to make a motion?
I'd make a motion to that effect, yes.
Staff, if you could.
It's a motion on the fly. We could wait until we get input from staff, but
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
can we table the motions to the end of the meeting
Sure.
after we're done with the grants?
Otherwise, we're
And
flipping
just
around
post
screen
right
after
there.
screen. Yeah. Okay.
So I would support it, but I would prefer to support through a UBCM grant.
Okay, well, let's, first of all, Councilor St. Pierre, we'll deal with your motion when we come back, but right now, you're not gonna get that money this year, so how much you
No,
will?
I'm supporting the 3,500.
3,500, okay. All right, so I think that you've pretty much marked down 3,500 for Edward Milne Community School for the Community Cultural Kitchen. Okay, the next one is number 4, EMCS, a summer camp. Again, 3,000 is the ask. And this time I'll go to Councillor St. Pierre.
I would prefer that we have a $7,000 cap on all of the MCS because I think that's fair to the other organizations. So
Throw a number out, please.
throw a number out. I'm going to go with $1,000.
Mayor Tate,
I'd be inclined to increase it a little bit to 2,000, given that this is to help. This is kids helping kids, and it's to address some folks that are struggling to afford camps right now.
okay, it's a 2K there. Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, I'd like to have seen 3K, but I do understand the 7K cap. This is a vulnerable population of kids having literacy issues, and so this is the definition of upstream intervention to get these kids back on the right track for literacy. So I'm absolutely in support of at least 2,000.
Okay, Councillor Pearson.
I concur. I support 2,000. Thank you.
Okay, last is me, and I had that penciled in 2,000. So that now we're up to 5. So Mr. Sorry, Councillor Bateman, go ahead.
Jack, that I mentioned vulnerable, so this could be COVID funding for this group.
Okay, Mr. Curry, you made that note. Thank you.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, so that, I think we much agree on 2,000, so we can go on to item number 5, please. And that's Edward Mill Community School and Youth and Sooke Engagement Program. And for keeping with their 7,000 cap, I'd be entertaining 2,000 there. Councillor Pearson, your thoughts, please.
Well, I think I agree. I think that we've given Edward Milne the total 7K, and I think that 2K plus and 2K plus. I mean, let's go down to 15, because it's slightly, so.
Okay,
I would say 15.
1,500?
Yep.
Councillor Bateman?
I love this project, the kelp mural project with the paint that will age out anyway, it's a wonderful concept. And I think climate action funding could be utilized in this case. I would think we could, yeah, if 1,500 is the number.
Okay, is that your recommendation?
We could lower the community cultural kitchen program to 3 and take it up to 2.
Well, I don't think we have to have exactly 7,000. If 1,500 is where we're at. So,
Okay, I recommend 2,000 then. Please.
okay. Mayor Tate?
Yeah.
2,000?
Yes, just a point of personal privilege. I'm
Sure.
having some real challenges with the Wi-Fi and none of the packages are loading now.
Yeah, same here.
Is anyone else having that?
Same. Try and get mine to 3.
Okay.
Same.
All right.
I'm gonna bump back to the computer there because I can't update the spreadsheet and tell me it's been updated.
Okay.
Okay.
If I may, I might suggest a 5-minute recess. Our manager of IT will come up and
Okay.
assist.
So we'll take a
Thank you.
5-minute break. Thank you.
I mean, they're heavy packages, but now
But we still need them.
I can't.
We have to have them. What's that?
Soon as we start.
I was gonna say,
Are you loading through the app or did you go
Right onto our.
to the website or did
and Sooke Youth Engagement Program. And we were kicking around between 1,500 and 2,000. Can we make a recommendation of 2,000?
I have not yet commented.
Sorry?
I haven't commented yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor St. Pierre. We
No
had that
biggie.
intermission that interrupted me. Go ahead, Councillor St. Pierre.
This is one of the ones I was gonna suggest taking from SPA or seeing if we could access SPA money for this, because it's an arts project. It's an art installation. It should fit under SPA. And that would allow more latitude in terms of,
Okay, we could get staff to make that notation. You probably didn't hear that, did you? That on item 5, Councillor St. Pierre suggested that could come out of the SPA fund. Just a notation for when we do it next year. So we're at 2K for that one. Okay, we'll carry on with item 6, Fed Urban Agricultural Society. So we'll start with, I'm going to start with Mayor Tate this time. As I can.
Okay, thank you. This will be they've applied for funding in the past, starting at 5,000, 1,000. We are seeing this, but just given the situation every year, it was gonna be 2,500.
Councillor St. Pierre, we have a recommendation of 2,500. Your turn up.
I was gonna go lower, but I'll go with 25.
Councillor Pearson, your thoughts? Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, so this is the Fed Urban Agricultural Society and. Yeah, microphone, please. So school garden kits for Ecole Poirier and Cecinos Elementary. My question, if there had been a presentation in person the other week, we need confirmation from the principals at these schools to A, confirm their interest, and B, their willingness, importantly, to maintain these food gardens over time. So it's one thing to provide a garden kit. It's the other thing is to keep it growing. So that would be my question. And I'm wondering, I believe in the past we have paused certain of these applications to seek some answers. So at the end, I might make a motion that we seek further details from the Fed Agricultural Society.
Okay, I'm going to comment first and then I'll come to Councillor St. Pierre. I had a flat no. I mean, 2 Sooke schools have shown interest. There is not a firm plan here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if someone shows interest and we kick them $5,000, so I'm not, it's too broad. I'm not in favor of this at all, especially when there's nothing. I want some clear ties to the school and I haven't seen it yet.
Right.
So I'm not in favor of the $2,000 or whatever you, but we'll go around again. You okay with nothing? Councillor Pearson?
I'm fine with that too.
Yeah. Councillor Bateman?
Yeah, I would just say to the applicant, I recall from a previous application from Fed that there was a shortage of the statistics and metrics that really help us understand the value of these programs. So I think, yeah, that would be my comment. Thank you.
Okay, so that would be a 0, if I remember that, okay. Mr. Curry, you got that number loaded in. Okay, number 7, Fireweed Learning Commons. Yeah. And they're asking for $7,000. So I'll start with Councillor St. Pierre.
But it doesn't have a lot of reach. It sounds like it's basically supports for a fair amount of one-on-one. And I don't think it has the reach. I think that you need to be better at partnering with the CRD that has more resources in terms of doing this. So I think that the program is being proven. I think it needs to be spread out. And I think that taking the CRD, I don't think climate action task force and the staff that's there could be interested in this program. I'm torn. I don't think that I want to spend money on this way.
Okay, so you're saying 0. Okay, Mayor Tate,
Agreed.
Councillor Pearson.
Yes, I agree. But my question through the chair to staff was, is the 5,000 was written in red and I didn't question that on the meeting the other day. So it would look like they're ineligible. And well, maybe not. Maybe NA was 22. So never mind. Why was it listed in red? Is that just previous funding?
Staff, you have a comment, please?
The ones that are in red, there's a review note on the right side. That'll just say the funding source. So we marked the red 2023 and 2024 were funded from climate action funds and not the regular grant
Okay.
program.
Okay.
It was more on our review that we had highlighted the ones in reds that didn't show up on the community
Okay.
grant list.
Okay, thank you. And I had written no as well before I even started. So
Okay, so
Thank
and
you.
then it's just Councillor Bateman. I think everybody has said no so far.
Yeah, and I'm saying yes. I think we should be supplying them with $5,000. This is a second year. I participated, so I'm not recusing myself on this, but I participated in the first of the workshops. That was a prototype workshop, and now they're rolling it out into the community. They want to do 2 a year. This is very much a climate action funding stream from that 10,000. They want to update the climate action guide, which is this remarkable book. They're trying to help people develop their own personal climate action plan, household climate action plan. And we've been talking about this grant program as seed funding. I would be loath in future years necessarily to support them, but this is their second year of attempting this, and they are actively seeking other grants. So yeah, that's my pitch for
So
5,000 from climate action
Okay,
funding.
so we have 0, 0, 0, 5,000. I'm willing to go 2,000. So is there anywhere we can meet in the middle there, council? Anybody willing to move?
I'm fine with 2,000 if that's where we want to go.
Mayor Tate?
2,000 from the climate funds then.
Okay. Councillor Pearson?
support the notion of 2,000.
Councillor Bateman, can you live with that? Do I have to take a
Well,
vote?
I am happy. I see the way the wind is blowing. So that's perfect.
Okay, so in that one, we don't need a motion for that. Otherwise, I would have to call for a motion. So 2,000 on that one. Okay, Fred Milne Park Society, and that's to do with the lighting. And this time I'll go to Mayor Tate.
I'll support the 7,000 ask. This is a one-time capital cost, and it's they're asking for 7,000 out of 297,000. So they have a ways to go. But it's lighting that needs to be done.
Councillor St. Pierre.
We had a number of asks with regard to Fred Mill, and one of the things that did come up was a tent for the fall fair, which I think they desperately need a new venue. So we talked about that sort of thing. I would prefer to provide some substantial additional infrastructure. I think this lighting project is going to go ahead without us regardless. But I think that right now we have an opportunity to step in and assist the fall fair, the music festival, other groups that might want to do so, and Fred Mill, like the park in general, with helping all of those groups with a tent. And I'd rather collect all that money together and do something really useful for ECDev and for the community.
So you're telling me on number 8 is 0.
0.
Thank you. Councillor Pearson.
I fully support the 7K on this one because, during the presentation that they gave and then looking at their financials, this project enables that second field to be used. It's dangerous. This is, huge membership in our community, in our youth. We're getting a tremendous advantage by upgrading. Like 7,000 is a pretty cheap ask from the taxpayers for what we're actually getting back in return. Sooke Community Association. Anyway, I support 7,000.
Okay, Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, I'll support this too, while at the same time reiterating what I said the other week, which is that the Sooke Community Association is looking. They made a request back in January 2024 for broader funding given the range of community facilities they're operating. Here's, as one of you said, there's a huge budget here, and this 7,000 goes towards finishing that phase 2, I think it is. Anyway, I think that we need to go back to that motion of January 2024, but whereby council did create some sort of small task force to meet with the community association to determine the scope of their activities and the kind of requests they might want in future. So hopefully that committee, which I don't believe committee.
Okay, but right now we have to deal.
Yeah,
We have to
7,000.
deal. You're okay with 7? So we have 1, 2, I marked 4 down, but I could see the wisdom of 7. It is a one-time ask. So I will go with 7 as well. And then the Council St. Pierre is going to stick on, are you going to go away with 7 or are you going to stick with no? If it,
Stick with 0.
okay, so in that case, I think I need to call for a vote on that. So if somebody wants to make a motion for 7,000, then.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, that's Councilor Pearson and Tate, second. Any discussion to the motion? Go ahead. To motivate. So Mayor Tate first. Sorry, got it wrong.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mayor Tate first. Russ. She's back.
So,
right.
you know, I think 7,000 is prudent in this case. It is a one-time and it's capital expenditure. I do hear the other voices from across I think there were some good points raised about the task force and our relationship with the community association. Anyways.
Mayor Tate.
Thank you. The lighting is important because soccer takes place when there is no lighting. The other events are, I agree with the tent and the like that occur in the summer. This is soccer season starts in September and runs all the way through. Well, it's still going. We're in spring soccer now. It'll run through the summer as well. And it's without the lighting, there's no games. So I think it's a small piece. And then following this, it is revisiting it's the service agreement with the Sooke Community Association would be the point that we would want to take away and discuss, because they would be the umbrella that owns the assets, and then there's all the various pieces underneath. But obviously, and they're extending use of that field in the summertime, when it's idle, which allows the other groups to be able to onboard and have events that have significant room for parking and the like. But without the lighting, soccer won't happen.
Councilor St. Pierre.
I absolutely agree that the lighting is critically important, but I think it will go forward with or without our contribution. There are other organizations that won't be able to move forward with projects unless we're actually available with some funding. I'm concerned about overtapping ourselves. Additionally, Fred Milne and all of the Sooke Community Association and the Scouts, for example, and any churches that come forward are already getting tax exemptions. They're already being supported by our taxpayers through tax exemptions. And this is, I believe the lighting is needed and I absolutely support it. But I think we have to be very strategic with the very small amount of money we have. I think that at the end of the day, if we don't have, for example, a place for the fine arts to hold a show, if we don't have a place for the music festivals and so on and so forth, we're gonna have to revisit all this anyway. So I will suggest that this should be 0 because they will move forward with the lighting regardless. And it is needed, so they will do it, and they've already got most of the money. So I don't think we're critical, but we're probably critical elsewhere.
Thank you, Councilor Pierre. Councilor Pearson, you had a second
Yeah,
comment.
just to add, and that there was a safety issue as well with the lighting that had to be taken, because the poles had aged out. So there was an urgency to the project moving forward, and I think we contribute to that. So thank you.
Okay, then, sorry, Councilor Bateman, if
Yeah.
you have one more go, then I'm going to call the question.
Yeah, so I'm hearing what everyone's saying. I do think it's important on behalf of our 9,000 taxpayers that we do contribute this small amount. And I am concerned about the osprey nests. Hopefully they will be.
I think they'll be very careful.
Not critical, but it is kind of critical. Those osprey are
Exactly.
beautiful things to see up there.
Can I just make
Okay.
a comment back to
Sure, go
Councillor
ahead, Mayor.
St. Pierre, that Scouts do not receive a permissive tax exemption for us? No, because they're not located within the district of Sooke. And the Sooke Fine Arts Show occurs in Sea Park. within that facility through the Capital Regional District. So that conversation will happen at the CRD table and not ours. It would still happen
Okay,
according to CPARC.
we shall move on. Thank you for that. No, just, let's move on, please. That's, we have a motion on the floor. We have it seconded. We discussed it. And the motion is for $7,000 for the Federal Mill Park Society for lighting. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. All right, the next one is Friends of Sooke Park Society. They ask us for 6,000. And I guess we'll go over to Councillor Bateman. We'll start with you this time. This is
Well,
fun.
I'm a friend of the Friends of Sooke Park Society very much. I love their programs. I think they too are into, I believe, their third year. And perhaps our community investment policy will start recognizing finite periods of funding. But I think in the third year, and given the wide range of programs they're offering here, I'd like the 6,000 to go in.
Councillor Pearson.
I too am a friend of the Friends of the Sooke Park Society. They've done some good things in the parks. They're promoting our parks. Just up from my house, there was a nice ET film on last summer and it was well attended. I don't have a problem funding them. I just kind of being cognizant of the fact that we do have to get.
Have you got an amount there in mind, Councillor Pearson?
How about, I suggest that we give them 4,000.
4,000. Councillor St. Pierre.
For all those good reasons, I'm in favor of 2,000.
Mayor Tate.
I'm fine with the 4,000, but I'm also mindful that our program is oversubscribed. So the challenge is being able to meet the needs here.
Yeah, I wasn't quite as generous as most of my colleagues here. I figured that we spend a lot of money on parks and our tax dollars on parks anyways. So I would certainly, I'm okay to give them something, but I would sit in the 2K area. So we have 2K, 2K, 4K. Is there anywhere we can come in the middle? How about 3,000?
Well, I put forward 6,000.
Oh, you did,
So we
sorry.
are cut forward with 3,500.
Okay. Sorry? Okay, I'm gonna go to Councillor St. Pierre. You ever? Oh, no, it's okay. If I'm trying to find some middle ground here. So if 3,500 is there? Okay, just a sec.
An amount, 2,000.
Okay. Mayor Tate, your amount? Again, sorry.
Sounds good.
2,000. I'm okay with 2,000. Bateman?
I'll take 3,500.
Pearson, Councillor Pearson?
Again, being cognizant of our subscription list here. See, here's the 3,500 because that's what. I will support 2,000. I'd like to see it 3,500, but I will support 2,000.
So we have 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000 and 6,000. So if Councillor Bateman is not willing to budge, then I'll call for a vote. So if I need a motion for 2,000. So go ahead.
We make a motion. We're actually tied to that particular number unless we actually go back on the motion, correct? Unless we take it back.
Yeah.
Is there any other procedural way that we can do this so that Mr. Curry can write the numbers down and then we could potentially change them in the future? Because I think on that
Make
last
another
line, when we get a motion, we would have to, like, we're no longer just putting in numbers for a little bit. If we make a motion, we can't adjust afterwards.
Well, I'm just this is the chair sort of jumping in here. I'm trying to find a method that we can get through this. And to me, when we have a split thing, we have to make a decision. And if we run out of money in the end, we can come back to that motion and make another motion. Is that correct?
Through the chair to council, short answer, yes. If a motion has been voted on, council would have to essentially reconsider that motion. So there is a procedural process to undo a motion that has been voted on.
That's all I'm interested right now. So I mean, if we're gonna be, we've got that I can count 4 at 2 and 1 at 6. And it's gonna stick at 6 and that's the council's prerogative, then I'll need a motion. So if somebody wanted to entertain a motion for 2,000.
A motion
Tate.
to then postpone this one to the end, so we can keep going through and then we'll see
Okay.
where the total is
All right.
and we can revisit. So like.
I
just
don't
table it for
I don't
now.
think I need a motion for that. I can do that as chair, postpone it to the end. Is that correct?
Just add it and we can come back when we deal with the other ones where there's conflict.
More or less, yes, I can bump it to the end of the list and remind you before we move on.
You're making notes of these to what we're coming.
That
back
is right.
to.
I'm moving things around for
Okay,
you.
all right, okay, we'll do that, and then we'll see what money we got left, and that may determine it. Okay, number 10, Wanda Fuca Performing Arts Center Society. And okay, I guess we will start with, let's go to Councillor St. Pierre.
0.
Okay.
It's not in Sooke. The center won't be in Sooke. And the event's already gone by. They don't need the money from us.
Mayor Tate,
Agreed.
Councillor Pearson. Okay, Councillor Bateman.
Okay, so I'm in favor of 2,000. Councillor Lajeunesse former Councillor Lajeunesse was appointed to the West Shore Intermunicipal Arts Group back in 2023. I succeeded him and have been attending meetings of this group. The Wanda Fuca Performing Arts Center Society, as we well know from the presentation 2 weeks ago, is seeking to build a art center in the West Shore that will also serve Sooke arts groups who are part of this particular conversation. At this event, which I attended last Saturday prior to Sookerama, there were members from Sooke Harbor Players, Sooke Arts Council were there. So I think if you want me to continue attending these meetings on behalf of council, I would like to see some support by this district when requested. I think if we could take it to 1,000 would be a perhaps middle ground.
Okay, and for myself, I had written no down. So is anybody suggestion on moving? We have 4 no's and a 1,000. If not, then we'll have to bump that to the end and vote on it. Councillor St. Pierre.
Would it be possible when we have the majority already with a certain number to put that number down temporarily with Mr. Curry?
No, we haven't made a decision on that. We'll have to
I
leave.
realize that, but
Yeah.
we haven't made a decision on anything Mr. Curry is putting down.
I would say no, chair's prerogative. I'm not going to do that until we have a firm number.
Well, then I'll make a motion for 0.
We're going to deal with those at the end. They're going to, if we can't come to an agreement, it will be bumped to the end and then we'll take some votes on them all. So if everybody's sticking with no except for 1,000, then we'll have to leave it to the end. If that's the procedure we're using. So I'll ask our corporate officer, is that going to work for us? I mean, I don't want frustrated people, but we have to get through this.
Absolutely, that will work. And I do echo the sentiment of the informal process as long as there's consensus among the membership. And if there's not consensus, to deal with it separately, placing them towards the end would make it cleaner so that we don't jump in and out of the consensus versus voting dynamic. So I'm hearing that council would like to bump this item to the end as well.
Correct. That's item 10. Okay, now we'll go on to 11, Royal Canadian Marine Search and Rescue. And this is to do with the container in East Sooke. And I will come to Councillor Pearson.
Okay. I have written down the Royal Canadian Marine 2,000. And the reason I came up with 2,000 is because we have a mutual aid agreement with our emergency services. I think we ought to sort of participate, even though it's kind of on that one of those gray areas, but our fire department actually has a mutual aid for disasters in that area. So I was torn. I was 0 and then up to 2,000.
So your suggestion is 2,000?
2,000, yes.
Sound judgment. So, Counselor Bateman, your thoughts, please?
Well, I could go with that number. I just would like to note that in the budget information, there is no other funding sources indicated. Now, last year they got a grant from BC Hydro and there was some internal funding as well. However, this year, no indication of revenue, and that is contrary to not a requirement in the policy, but a strong request that multiple funding sources.
So you're reluctant 2K?
But I'll do a reluctant 2K.
Okay, Counselor St. Pierre.
I'll put 0 again. In this particular case, I agree with Councillor Bateman. All their funding for this particular project, for the most part, has been through the district and was largely subsidized by COVID funding. The container, although it is mutual grade, the container is actually in East Sooke. We have our own containers to fill here and a much larger population.
Okay, Mayor Tate.
I'll support the 2,000, recognizing that the district of Sooke is located past this at Sooke Point. That is part of our community that we are responsible for. And yes, there's mutual aid. It is volunteer driven out in that area through the East Sooke Fire Department and potentially from a chosen. So given that we still have an element of our population out in this area that is only accessible by water, if the road is out, then we need to put something in. So I'll support the 2,000.
Okay, myself, I had originally written no down, but I must say hearing some of the feedback from my colleagues that I'm inclined to go with the 2K. And for Councillor Pearson and Mayor Tate's comment sort of convinced me of that. So we have 2K, 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 and 0. Are you able to move? Okay. No, at this point in time. So that's be another one that we have to bump. So, okay. Yeah. I mean, we can deal with it now. I mean, I just soon deal with the motions now and then they're done and then, then we don't have to come back to it. But you guys seem to want it one way, we'll do it that way for now. Okay. Seeded Tree Foundation. Councillor Bateman, we'll start with you.
This is an interesting one. It is private property. The former Murray Road, as it's colloquially known, park. It is in fact private property. Yeah, I'd like to hear from other councillors on this one.
Ooh.
Dodging. No, that's unfair. That's unfair.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
I'll go to Councillor Pearson.
Makes me laugh, Councillor Bateman. 0 for me. I propose 0. It is private property. Recently, the property was rezoned with a use on it, which was a little stressful for us, I think, as an organization. And a lot of improvements were discussed at that time on that property, green space and things. And now suddenly it's come back here in the form of a grant to create the green space. So I'm a no, hard no.
Councillor St. Pierre.
I'm a hard yes. I think this is long-term community infrastructure that helps everybody in that neighborhood. It's something they desperately needed for a long time to make better use of a park or not a park, but a piece of private property that was considered a park for a long time. I think it would help to heal things somewhat. And I think it's worthwhile use of the space. We don't have to maintain it. We don't have to do anything except supply a nominal amount of money. And all of a sudden there's an amenity for our people in that area, which desperately needs it. So I think it's cheap for long-term community infrastructure that we need.
Mayor Tate.
I look at it that it is privately held land, that our community amenities in that area are the Rotary Pier and Ed McGregor Park. And so any amenities that we would put into this park would be for those. And this one, as I understand, is going to have a building and it's going to be closed off due to construction. So it would be something I would consider potentially after that, but we have a long list of demands. So at this time, it's a no for me.
Okay, I'll finish it off with a no. It is to me private property. And when the presentation was made, they were talking about wooden picnic benches. And over the decades, I've seen probably $50,000 worth of stuff go in there to be absolutely destroyed, and a wooden picnic bench and chairs and stuff. If it's there over a month, I'd be surprised. So it's a flat no to me, unless Councillor St. Pierre is willing to move, then we will have to put that to the end. So you're for zero for that? Okay. Okay, so then we are all in agreement that that is zero. So Mr. Curry, is he marking that somewhere? Is he gone? Oh, there he is in the corner. Sorry, I couldn't see it through Mr. Bateman's head. So Councillor Bateman's head. All right, so that's the, go ahead.
Councillor Bateman's head,
Yeah.
now that he's heard all the comments,
Oh, did I not go to you, Councillor Bateman?
well, I defer.
Oh,
and now
that's
I'm
right
coming
too.
back.
Yes, okay. I
agree
did go to you
completely.
first. Just
I agree with Mayor Tate, and I asked this question at the time was, is there a proper layout for the full piece of green space on that property? And that is to include the Lions sensory garden within that mix. And I think once the structure is built, then that would be the time to consider, because it will be quite a public open space. I did mention also those low grade, but perhaps functional picnic tables available at Camp Bernard at $75 each.
okay, so that is a no all around. So thank you very much. Now we will go on to item number 13, Sheringham Point Lighthouse Preservation Society, and that's the school program, and they're asking for $5,900. So Mayor Tate.
I would like to support this. I would like to support it in its entirety. I know that it's grade fours, I think, from every school that visit, and then there's all of the other background that is available here. It's just recognizing I'll put in 5,900 and see where we land.
Okay,
I'm just saying that because of the demands on this program, I don't know that we can fund everyone in, you know.
okay, so your recommendation is to fund a full 5,900. Councillor St. Pierre.
I was gonna go 2,000 on this one because of the demands on the program.
Okay, Councillor Pearson. So we got two
I,
full.
I fully agree with the mayor. I was trying to look for your title today. I fully agree. I think this is one of these programs that is showing success. 35,000 visitors go there, which adds to our economic engine in Sooke. It is part of our tourism. And that was his numbers. He told us 35,000 went there. So I fully support this one.
Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, I'm loath to fully support anything given the oversubscription on grants, but I agree about this one. I had a great chat at Sookerama with the lighthouse keeper's daughter who still lives in the area. And yes, indeed, these students arrive, they do become stewards of the lighthouse. Very meaningful for them, and she hears from them repeatedly over the years, because this program has been going since 2017. This is the third year. Next year they've got a plan B where they're going to go after more gaming grants, I believe we were told. So yes, I'll support the full amount. Oh, also, just clarity on, this is JDF, and we were mentioned a number of times. The JDF also needs to step up. And in fact, I was told at Sookerama they are, with some major infrastructure elsewhere on the property.
My understanding from the JDF is that they like the bricks and mortar stuff, paints, brushes and things like that. I had $4,000 down for this lighthouse project, but I'm not sure that they could run it for $4,000, and I don't know if they've got any other source of money. So I would sort of reluctantly go to the 5,900. So here we are, we got 4 at 5,900, and then Councillor St. Pierre was at 2,000, I believe. Are you able to move, or would you?
I'd like to comment further before I consider it.
You
Just in
certainly
case
can.
anybody else wants to move. This is long-term operational funding that we're looking at, and I think we need to think, is this something that we would be willing to enter a service agreement on? because that's where long-term funding, operational funding should come under. I'm glad they're looking at other source of funding, but again, this is a very odd place for us to be given our policy and what our policy says. I support the program. I am willing to support the program, but we're oversubscribed and we have other asks that are within our policy. And this one really just isn't quite. It's not actually within our strat plan, and it's not within our policy. So
Bear in mind, in this process, as I understand it, we pump all these numbers in. And then if we are over subscribed, then we go back and pare some of them down. So this might be one that we pump in and then come back and pare down.
okay, well, I'm putting it out there. I think.
Are you either going to willing to support 5,900 or are we wait and have a vote on it?
Well, we'll discuss it again later, I guess. 59, sure.
Okay, so that's unanimous for 5,900. Okay, all right, thank you. So I can scratch that off as a comeback. Sooke District Minor Hockey Association.
Just sorry, Chair, this one will have me stepping out.
Okay,
My
thank you.
kid is in the
Good.
program.
We'll take a 30-second.
Well, we're going to the end, right?
Oh, right, yeah, okay, sorry. I thought you were actually gonna leave, sorry. We come back to that one, please. Yeah. Sooke Autism Support Society. And we'll start with Councillor Bateman. This is item 15.
Yeah, so this is, if I've remembered correctly, from 2 weeks ago, established in 2017, growing, doing important work in the community for autistic individuals, young people, SAS. They did apply in 2023. I see no grant was awarded in 2023. And I think I noted at the time, 2 weeks ago, that a large portion, wait. I've gotten my notes here. We can pay $450 towards society. The SIB shops facilitator at $1,050 is ineligible. Given that is.
So what's your dollar amount that you're suggesting?
I'm going to put in 450.
450.
I'm sorry if I got that wrong.
No, that's okay. Councillor St. Pierre.
I think this is a stitch in time. Having siblings that actually do support their siblings is critically important. Catching them soon. I'd be inclined to go more, but I'll go with Council Bateman's 450. That's the will of council.
Mayor Tate.
I would like to see us fund the 1,500. I would need to understand why we can't fund that. They are doing significant amount of other forms of fundraising to meet what their needs are. So I was gonna go with the 1,500.
Councillor Pearson.
Could I ask through the chair, could I ask your logic on that, the 1050, please?
Okay,
Go ahead,
just looking
go
at the
ahead.
budget information here, and a certified SIB shops facilitator will cost $1,050. And then the remaining 450 is craft and game supplies, snacks and beverages, which are eligible, I believe, under our policy.
That's not salary.
No, but the 1,050 for the, oh, it's not a salary, okay?
Okay, just it.
Then let's get clarity.
Let's try and keep this through the chair, please. Okay, I'll comment now. I'll go for $1,000. Thousand. Okay, so write in 1,000, please. Whew, we don't have to come back to that one. All right, number 16, Sooke Basketball Club. So we will start with Councillor Pearson this time.
Compelling presentation. You know, there's been a lot of tremendous work been done, you know, gratis to this point. I would like to support them, and I wrote down 4K, and hopefully they could come up with the other 5 or the other 1,000 that they're looking for. So their first year, and to me, they met all the criteria of seed money. The first time they've asked, they haven't been back. It was a good presentation. I would be inclined to do 5,000, but I think we still have to keep mindful of the of trimming these budgets back. So I certainly, I would support 4,000. I've written 4K down here.
Okay, Counselor Bateman.
Well, as I said last time, go Wolverines. This is a time when basketball is just really blossoming in the community. And these are kids from kindergarten through age 17, if I've got my notes straight here. And yeah, as Councillor Pearson just said, it's a startup, and this is exactly what this program needs to be supporting.
Dollar amount.
4,000 too.
Okay, and Counselor St. Pierre,
As a startup, I would go with 2, but we'll see how it goes.
Mayor Tate.
Agree with the 4,000.
Okay, that's an interesting one because I written down 2K for seed money. And I certainly don't have a problem starting at support, but it only under seed money. My concern is setting precedent when it comes to some of these sports group where they'll be all lined up here and paying it. So I wrote down 2K, and so I guess we have 2Ks and well, somebody else, how many 4? I got 4, 4, 4, 3 4s and a 2. Okay, 2 2s. So could we settle on 3? Or we can stick to your guns and we can fight it out later, but I mean,
Well, the history of people who have come for seed money, we've been pretty generous. And to some groups, I think this is youth. And I won't talk about an adult sports group that has got a lot of money out of us and for seed money and startup, done what they said, which is fair. However, we're talking about these guys. There's a lot of enthusiasm. They also presented a study which said the number one thing that was being asked by our youth was a basketball program.
yeah,
I think
it came out of C Park too.
yeah. So yeah, I think it was.
So you're sticking with the 4.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll move to the 4. Okay, so we're all moving to the 4. Write that in. Hopefully we have enough money left over in the end. But we'll come back to it if we have to, so that's okay. So 4,000 for that one. Everybody got it? Sooke Bike Club. And I'll start with Mayor Tate. Put you on the spot.
I was going to go with about half of the amount. I think it's a great event, and it's great to have this. This is the CRD's infrastructure, so I was hoping that the CRD could fund some, maybe they could do some fundraising, get some sponsorship.
So 3K or 3,500?
3,000.
3,000. Councillor St. Pierre.
I think this is exactly what we should be funding. Community infrastructure that affects a lot, helps with economic development. So I would go with the full amount.
Bateman, Councillor.
Well, did you say 4,000?
I think it's 5,916.
Oh, you're the full amount.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I did have the full amount as well, because this is the exact cost. The Sooke Bike Club has read our policy, exact cost of trail tools and the bike donation. And they're building an adaptive grouse trail at Harborview C2C Park, 115 meters. These adaptive trails allow 3- and 4-wheel bikes to roll along and allow individuals with various kinds of differing abilities.
So you're the full amount. Councillor Pearson.
I'm 50%.
So you're at 3K too. Okay. I'm at 3K. Mayor Tate's at 3K and the other 2 are at full. Is there any movement there?
Yeah, I'll
3,000.
3K.
Fine.
I mean, they're putting a lot of work into this. They're putting a lot of work into this, and they're basically improving the trail structure. They're going to help.
You want 3,500?
35 or 4. I honestly, the full amount, but 4,000, please.
Okay, 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 4K. Wow, it's harder than I thought. Sooke Community Choir, they're asking for 3,000. And we will start, can we start with, let's go Councillor Pearson this time.
We love our choir. And they've been around for a long time. And I wrote them down at 2.5K, which was I don't know, 30, no, it wasn't 30, it was 18% reduction, I think is what I came up with. I wrote them down at 2,500. They in their presentation, and I should, never mind, I won't say that actually. I won't penalize them for what they said in the presentation. They were anticipating this was their third year, so they asked for a little bit more.
Okay, so then we have Counselor Bateman, please.
Yeah, I think I had 2,000 here too, if I can find it. Oh, 2,500. That is the purchase of music and the tracks. And I think we've done this with other with the Choral Evolution earlier. And yeah, so on 2,500. While also noting here is an institution, 35 years in Sooke, and there will come a moment where we need to ask them to fly, be free.
Mayor Tate?
Yep.
2,500? Okay, Counselor St. Pierre.
Speaking as a chorist, I support supporting choirs. I think that what choirs really need is actually something different from what's being asked. I think what's being asked is because that's what we can offer. But what they really need is storage and risers on a permanent basis, because that would reduce their costs overall and actually make it easier to hold performances, and having some sort of stable performance venue. I think the 3,000 or 2,500 is a Band-Aid that doesn't necessarily provide long-term support. I support it in the moment, but I would like us to be looking at how to better spend this money.
So you're okay with 2,500?
I just making a comment.
Yeah, that's
not what I
fine. No,
want.
it's right. I think we all need to hear the comments because it's, we do this numerous times. So no, I'm not trying to shut you down. And I had them down for 1,000, but I'm willing to move to 2,500. So I think pretty much all in agreement there. So we'll settle on 2,500 for that one. Sooke Fall Fair. And we'll start off with Mayor Tate.
I'll support the 7,000. The fair is moving to a different location, and it's going from indoors to outdoors, which creates a whole other just it's unique in it, but a whole other new challenges potentially for the organizers. So it'll be year one in this new location, and which I think it's great. But yeah, it's a big, in a way, although the fair's been around for over 100 years, this is a new start for the fair going forward into the future. So.
Thank you, Councillor St. Pierre.
I would support them for more than 7,000.
We can.
In any way we can.
So you're okay with the 7,000 then? Okay, Councillor Pearson.
Yes, I agree with my two former councillors. I wish there was a way for us to give them more money.
Geez, you guys are big.
Well, this is an exciting change for the Sooke Fall Fair because their participation has dwindled. This is somebody taking some bold moves, as I said at the council meeting. This is exciting, and I think it's important for Sooke that this tradition continues. And the new venue, I think, is going to be, I hope, spectacular.
Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, I had of the 34, I had 4 with 3 stars, and i.e. full amount, please. Bold is a good word. You're effectively doubling the expense this year, I believe, for the fall fair. And again, on behalf of the 9,000 taxpayers, I think we need to fully support them in this initial phase. And I did like what Councillor St. Pierre was saying last time about these kind of 4-walled tents. I think they'll be rented for the weekend of August 23rd. However, maybe the district needs to be, given the number of events happening, we need to purchase some of these tents for use by multiple user groups. Anyway, 7,000 is my.
Okay, last is me. I had him down for 2,000. I certainly heard everybody in their comments. I do think the fall fair is an important matter, and the fall fair at the community hall was just the wrong location, and it's a mess there every year. Interesting to see how they make out at the field, but I really have a hard time with $7,000 for them. But I can see that I would be outvoted if it came down to a vote, and so I'm not going to waste anybody's time. We'll go the full amount, but I have a lot of problems with it. But we'll let that one go. Okay, number 20, Sooke Festival Society. $7,000 they're asking. And they're at the Fred Mill Park now. Boy, it's a busy place. So where are we on that one? So we'll start with Councillor Bateman.
Okay. I'm a big fan of this event, but, we have been supporting routinely over the years. I do see artwork, printing, promo and shirts at 4,100. So that's what I'm recommending, $4,100.
So can we just do 4K just so I can remember? 4,100, that's fine. Councillor Bateman, no.
4,100.
All right, Councillor Pearson, your thoughts, please.
I'll support 41.
All right, Mayor Tate. Councillor St. Pierre.
I'll support that as well. I would suggest that if we are actually able to keep the porta potties on that site, as was suggested by some of the people that came, like if that was our contribution to make sure that there was outhouses during the summer, that would be useful to all of the events happening.
Yeah, good point. But anyways, right now we're dealing with this. Okay, I had locked in with 3,000, but it's close enough to $4,000. So I'll go for $4,000. Was that 4,100 or 4,000?
41.
Okay.
Exactly that.
4,100 is the number? Okay, we'll put that in there just to make it interesting for Mr. Curry. Sooke Hospice Society, they're asking for 7,000 and there was quite an interesting, I can't comment on that, but right, well, we'll start off with Mayor Tate.
With me again?
Yeah, I'm just being kind. Nice to see you back.
Oh, thank you. I'll go with the 7,000 then.
Councillor St. Pierre.
I don't think we can afford it, but I agree.
Councillor Pearson.
This is another one of my 3-star ones. I think that we simply. I don't know. I 7,000. That's all they asked for. This is an amazing organization.
Okay. Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, I will ditto that. And this is a future line item, I believe, for
Yeah,
us.
I agree.
50 to 60 new clients annually, which is just, they're aging
And
at home.
And it doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I was going to, because I don't really have an interest in it, but I know a lot about it. So I was going to go for 6, but I'm delighted to go for 7. And again, it's one of those silent people in the community, a group of them that just, the province should be kicking this in because it probably saved them at least $1 million on those 60 people staying at home rather than passing away at, $10,000 a day in the hospital. So, okay, 7,000, that's good. Sooke Meals on Wheels, 22, they're asking for $7,000. And what they're asked is to help with the mileage. So I'm not going to start with Mayor Tate this time, so I'll start with Councillor Bateman.
Well,
I thought we started that last year, I believe, covering mileage for volunteer drivers and shoppers. I think that this is an essential service.
So you're on to the 7,000.
Yeah.
Councillor Pearson.
I agree. This is an important part of our community. These two together. Yeah, I support 7,000 as well. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll get to the
Councillor
end.
St. Pierre.
I will also support the 7,000 with the comment that again, I think this is not in our area that should be our responsibility in terms of food security and honestly, beds for palliative care. This is not something the district should be dealing with, period, end of sentence. I think we need to do more advocacy around this because this is just not okay, but we need to do it.
Mayor Tate.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I'm just sort of making some notes because I think we have some follow-up work to do.
Yeah.
But this is food security. It's folks that are unable to get out to access anything. So without some delivery, and it's already completely volunteer run, but it is a so I was just wondering, maybe Mr. Curry can determine if this falls under COVID. It looks like that's where you're putting it. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, last for me, I didn't have 7, I had 4,000 down. I did make a note that this isn't actually for food for people. This is for the drivers that drive for the gasoline. I know it's a bit expensive, but I guess for me, I volunteer at a number of areas and I drive my truck around and I don't expect anything back from it. I just do it. So I think a lot of the volunteers probably feel that way too. So I'd be interested to see how many of them do take it up. I was more inclined to give 4,000, but I see everybody else is locked in at 7. And then odds indicate that I'd lose that one too. So we'll go with 7. Sooke Minor Fastball Association. And that is for 7,000 and replacing a pitching machine, weatherproofing. So we will start with, let's go with Councillor Bateman this time.
Okay, that pitching machine costs $4,548.92. It's the Hack Attack Junior
Heck at that.
baseball pitching machine, major league quality training tool designed to develop serious young players. I think that's the sort of thing that is absolutely worth investing in this community.
So what are you suggesting, please?
Yeah. And just so the larger picture of this upstream prevention, you know, I go to these Victoria Family Court meetings, and this is what is continually being discussed is upstream intervention to ensure that the players in minor fastball are in these group settings, learning a sport, staying active. It's important for us to support these. Again, it's a provincial matter possibly, but not a pitching machine.
Councillor Pearson.
Yeah, that was my thought too, was to support the purchase of the machine itself.
Councillor St. Pierre.
I think this is not a startup. This is not seed money. We have teams of people, we have, bottle drives and all the rest. I don't agree with, I don't think we can afford to do all of this. That's all there is to it. In one case, we have palliative care for people dying at home. In another case, we have a pitching machine. One of them can wait. I would go much lower or 0.
Mayor Tate.
Well, I'm in support of the pitching machine. Sports like fastball are attainable for families to access. It's located here in Sooke, so it helps when folks are looking at activities for young people. It's one that's located within the community. Yeah, I'm fine with the 46. I was gonna say 4,600 or 4,550 to cover the pitching machine.
Okay, last is me. I have problems with this. I certainly love to support Sooke Minor Fastball Association. But I'm worried about the precedent setting is that we start buying equipment for all the sports teams, and there's a lot of different sports. If we buy it for this one, then the soccer comes in, and then the pickleball, and then there's lacrosse coming up that they'll be here shortly. And all of those things all need equipment. And is that really our role here? I mean, sometimes I don't mind the startup for the basketball, but I have a great deal of problem with this. So I could not support $4,500. So I guess that's one that's going to have to come to the end. Or how many the rest of you all stuck on 4,500? I'll just check again, because again, I'm not going to waste everybody's time and to come to a vote and then lose the vote. So 4,500, Councillor Bateman, 4,500, Mayor Tate, 4,500, and Councillor St. Pierre. Sorry?
Yeah, we have to debate it. We'll have to debate it.
Okay, pull it out then. Thank you. What time do we have to leave? No, it's okay. All right, then we come to Sooke Pickleball Club. So we'll start with Councillor St. Pierre.
Sorry. Do you have yours on? I didn't hear you.
7.
We've been looking at long-term funding. Again, this is more operational. I would go 0. I think that large groups like this have to fly. And they're done very well. I'm very impressed with what they've done, and they're a good group. They're all good groups, okay? Everyone's doing
Yeah.
And
So what's your suggestion then?
0.
0. Okay, Mayor Tate.
Thank you. No, I agree. I think they're starting to do some donations and fundraising, but every minor sport does a significant amount of fundraising and has membership fees. So we've contributed to the courts themselves. Yes, they've done very well. It's very successful. I think they have the ability to increase some of the fundraising they're doing. So it's a 0 for me this year.
Zero. Okay, Councillor Pearson.
Yeah, one of these groups. They've done everything they said they would do. We've given them seed money for 2 years. This would be their last year anyways. This is their, yeah. They didn't get anything last year. It says.
Not last year, but we did
They've
21,
been
22,
to us
23.
3 times.
Oh, they had a break, sorry.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll support 0.
Okay, Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, I had $2,000 down here. It's worth noting that since 2018, the Sooke Pickleball Club has got $25,000 from the district since 2018. And yet this is such a growing sport. They have their Sooke Paddle Battle, I think, this last weekend, 200 participants. And they're coming from all over. There was someone from Cranbrook had come in apparently. So there is some economic development happening here.
So you're at 2K,
degree.
right?
So I was at 2K, but I will, yeah, 2K.
Okay, I guess with me, with this one, I love the up and coming pickleball, and they have been to us a number of times, and I've talked to them at length, some of them. And I guess the sticking point for me is that they have all these members and they have no membership fees. And they could soon pick up $7,000 just on membership fees. I mean, I know being a senior and not that I'm into pickleball, I don't mind paying something for, I mean, they're not all impoverished seniors. So I had written down $1,000, but that's pretty close to 0 for me. So I'd be inclined to agree. Is everybody else at 0? I think we were, yeah. Okay, I'll go for 0. 2. Okay, sorry. Are you able to move off of that 2? Okay. Okay. Sorry, Councillor Pearson.
Well, kind of, and I hear both of you, what you're saying. It does provide an amenity to our community, and they do have big membership, but maybe the notion of $1,000 says to them, your members should be picking up some of the tab here. It does generate money.
My
I could
suggestion was
support
1,000.
Yeah, I could support.
Everybody else able to move to 1,000 from 0?
I think they've already had 28 in 3 years and they're doing very well. I think they can manage now. They don't need us. If we want to be, it would be just to be nice. And I think there's other groups that really need this. So
You're sticking at 0.
I would like to stick to 0, but I'm willing to go to 1,000
Mayor Tate?
but we're just debating it now.
I would need to just see where we land at the end with
Okay.
this.
How
Like,
about-
I appreciate that, it is growing and there's folks that are traveling to this area. But even, they raised 200 with pop bottle and can donations. Like, I was out with Thunderbirds in the pouring rain and it was disgusting work and we pulled in $4,000.
Yeah, I've been on many bottle drive, and 3 is fairly normal. I think that's just the bottles from their events, yeah, as opposed to going out. Okay, so if you're not willing to go to 1,000, then we'll have to bring that one back at the end. Anyways, that's okay. Sooke Radio Society, 25, and we'll go with Councillor Bateman again.
Well, here is a startup, right? That we did give them, what did we give them last year? 5,000 last year. And I think, cooperative radio in this era of when diminishing number of voices are being heard, it's all the more important for this kind of opportunity for Sooke. It's been a long time coming. I'm excited to see how they've launched, and they're seeking here for public events at $2,000 and broadcaster training and public education events at $2,500. So I'd like to recommend $4,500.
4,500. Okay, Councillor St. Pierre over there.
Again, this is amazing community infrastructure. They're supporting us economically. They're helping with communication. They're looking at youth programming. They could be potentially covering things like council meetings and so on and so forth. They came to us once and they've done absolutely fantastic. Like, I don't know when our money's ever been better spent.
Yeah.
If they follow through on the spending on this, the way they did last time, we can expect amazing things.
What's your number?
7,000.
Good.
Mayor Tate,
I'll go with that as well.
7K. Councillor Pearson,
Yeah, I think this is, this fits right into our definition of startups. I was at 5, I wrote down 5K just because there seems to be 7,000 for everybody. I can support what the group at large. Whatever.
well, we have a 4,500, a 7 and a 7, and then,
I'll go to 7.
okay, I was gonna go
Yeah.
down. You're making it tough for me. Okay.
I'll support 7,000.
7,000 seems to be it. I have problems with 7,000, but if I'm gonna be outvoted again, I think that this is one that we might have to come back to and pare down depending on what the totals are. Yeah, I think it's too rich. I think people ask for the most and you can soon qualify it any way you want. But they are good, and it's important that we have these things in our community, because getting the word out, and the right word or the true word, is very difficult. But so I would go very reluctantly for 7,000. If we're way over, this is one I'd come back to, but we can pencil it in for now. All right, next is Sooke Community Health Network. And I will start with Mayor Tate.
Sorry, I just lost this one again.
Do you want me to go to someone else? Come back?
Yes, please.
Okay,
The wrong one.
Councillor St. Pierre.
It's an event. It's a mental health fair that went well last time. I think we should support events. I don't like the 7,000 again.
Well, throw a number out then.
I'll go for 3,500.
35? Okay, all right, Councillor Pearson.
Yeah, I think that this is a continuation of what we've been supporting. I know that they, in the form of grants. Not in the last couple of years, but their work continues, and I don't know. I wish we could give them community health service.
We have an existing service agreement.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess that's the struggle is that, a lot of money has gone to searching, but it's an essential service that people in Sooke are asking for. And I'm kind of stuck at, do we give them everything they're asking for or something? And I don't know what that number is for me.
Well, what 3,500 has been suggested by one.
Yeah, and again, I don't have an opinion if 3,500 is right for them. Like, I know that we've got a subscription amount of money that would, that our subscriptive amount.
Okay,
And
well, we all have that problem. So if you could
Yeah,
throw
I
a number.
could support 3,500, but I also think that maybe it's not enough. Sorry, I turned it off. I don't know. I'm struggling with this one.
Good job for CAO, keeping everybody's lights on. Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, I note here that in their budget, 9,000 of the 11,650 is for the project staff contract. So that would make that portion, the 9,000, ineligible, which would leave 2,650 for searching to move ahead with this very important mental health fair at EMCS, which was debuted last year and is to continue on November 8th. So I would support 2,650.
Mayor Tate.
Agree with Councillor Bateman.
Okay, last is me. Again, I looked at that as well, and I thought majority of it's going for wages. And again, we do fund them, and again, it should be provincial and staffing. So yeah, I would go with the suggestion of everybody else. Was that 26?
2,650.
Yeah, okay, 2,650. I'll go with that. Okay, we're all in agreement, so we'll go on. Sooke Regional Food Community Health Initiative. We'll go Councillor Bateman starting with.
Well, in this talking to Fuji, I've been recommending they come to us for a service agreement, given the I think in our strategic plan, food security is very prominent. They are doing some remarkably good work at the moment after a slight period of a bit of a pause for the organization. And it is coming forward with 4 very unique, at least 4, Apple Fest, Seedy Saturday, Fruit Tree Gleaning Program, particularly the Sun River Community Orchard Water Connection, and some costs for the new Sooke Region Food Systems Network. So I would recommend the 7,000.
Councillor Pearson?
The food cheese is an important part of what's going on in our community. They do charge an entrance fee to CD Saturday. There is, and I just had their budget, but. Okay, where did I go? Just pardon me for a second, Chair. Or you can go to someone else, Chair.
Okay, Councillor St. Pierre.
I support the full amount. They're actually looking at supporting something like 4 or 5 different projects. So unlike EMCS, these are all the activities that Sooke Fuchi is doing within the community. And some of them, like the water connection to the community gardens. I mean, you really got to have that. That's almost half the ask. That's just plain old infrastructure, make sure gardens have water. So I do support it. It's food security, it's community building, it's long term, and it's again, it's an infrastructure investment in the long term. I think that's what we should be doing.
Mayor Tate?
Okay, I agree with Councillor St. Pierre. 7,000.
And then we're going back to Councillor Pearson.
Yes, and it was, their membership fees are only they only raise $100 through membership fees per year, and I'm not sure who are their members. It seemed awful light on their budget, was $100. There was one other thing, okay, CD Saturday, it says $5,000, and I don't know if that's from ticket sales. It just says CD Saturday. I don't know.
That's income from CD Saturday.
I'm assuming that it's from the door, so.
They don't tell us.
Okay.
All right, so, and then last to speak would be me. I had trouble with $7,000, but again, this may be one that we might have to come back with. I'd written in 2,000. I mean, certainly inclined to go to 3,500. I have a lot of trouble with 7, but we'll go with that for the time being and see where the numbers come in. And it'll be one that I'm looking to cut if we can't make it. Okay, so number 28, Sooke Shelter Society. And we'll go with Mayor Tate this time.
Yeah, again, I would go with the 7,000. I'm just going to, do we have a service agreement, or is there
Yes, I think we have
in
something.
place currently? Can staff? I just want to verify that, because if we do, then we kind of need to stick with that agreement. So I just, sorry, I don't remember, and I'm not.
So we'll
seeing
go to
it here.
staff. Do we have a service agreement with Sooke Shelter? I thought we did, but
Sure. Through the chair to council, the Sooke Shelter Society received a service agreement in 2023 and in 2024 from COVID restart funds for 7,000 each year. And they requested to renew the agreement again, and we asked that they approach us through a community grant until we have a policy in place for a service agreement or service agreements going forward. So staff has suggested they seek funding.
so
through
we
the
don't
grant
have a
process.
service agreement for this year.
That's
and They're
correct.
coming to us with this, and they ask us for 7,000. Okay. So you're for 7. Did I ask you, Councillor Bateman? I'm losing.
You haven't yet.
Oh, go ahead, Councillor Bateman.
Well, I'm with the Sooke Homelessness Coalition, which was founded by Mayor Tate back in 2018. And so absolutely in support of this. At the same time, noting, it's important that the district contributes what it can.
So did I go to Councillor Pearson? I didn't go ahead, please.
Yeah, I had 3 stars on there for the work that they do. You know, it's a $1.8 million. They take in $1.87 million and then they spend $1.8 million with the most vulnerable in our society. And a lot of that funding comes from, provincial government and other sources, up to $1.8 million. anyways, I think it's incumbent upon us to support this as much as we can. So I'll support 7,000.
Okay, last is me, the Grinch, but no, it's, oh, sorry, did I miss you? Sorry, Councillor St. Pierre. Go ahead.
You're not the only Grinch.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, as it happens, I think this is one of those strange cases where I do support very much the homeless population. But I believe that this is a case where the province has actually stepped up to the plate, where advocacy has worked, where efforts have borne fruition. And now we have an organization that actually doesn't need our money. And I think that this is where we should step aside so we can put our money elsewhere. I think that they've done very well and we've done well in our advocacy efforts. But at some point, you need to step back. Otherwise, they're going to download it back on us. So
So you're a no.
I'm a no.
All right, last one, me. I agree with you 100%, Councillor St. Pierre. I think it is a download. It is a slippery slope. And basically it's a almost a bottomless pit these days. And I'm not so sure that that's in our wheelhouse to be doing that. I certainly, the Sooke Shelter Society are doing marvelous work, and they get a fair bit of funding from the government. And it's never enough, of course. And I've seen them deal with some of our street people in a very, very positive way. I've seen it firsthand. I haven't heard of people running up and down the streets with big sticks and yelling and screaming at people anymore. So it's a nice calming effect. I just have trouble with 7,000. I have trouble with the province, so I cannot support 7,000. So I will be I'd have to come up to a lesser amount than I see 3 at 7 and 2 at 0. So it looks like this is one we're going to debate. Okay. 29 Sooke Soccer Club.
Sorry, Chair, this would be another one my family's involved with, so we'll
Okay,
put it to
block
the,
that one out. Okay. Wow. Sooke Transition House. 30. All right, Councillor Bateman, I'll let you go first.
Well. Let's see, I did have some notes.
So yeah, this is for Transition House, very much recognizing that there is a disproportionate impacts on Indigenous populations, and as in other areas of the health spectrum, and that they are very much keen to provide training for, I believe it was 20 staff members and volunteers with the Indigenous Perspectives Society. This is leadership and governance best practices training. And yeah.
So what's your dollar amount?
Yeah, what's the dollar amount? Gosh.
Do you want to defer to hear from other people?
Yeah, I'll defer. I'll say 7,000.
Councillor
Let's go there.
Pearson?
My notes say, well done. Kind of, it's another one of these, that we've talked about provincial downloads and things like that that are happening. And this is another, again, it's another group of very vulnerable people in our society. And I think there's an obligation that we have to step up. I think this is another one that I support fully at 7th K.
Councillor St. Pierre?
I agree with the need. I also think this is another one that fits directly under the UBCM grant structure in terms of reconciliation, so on and so forth. They're looking for training for better understanding and so on and so forth. That's exactly what the grant is about. Okay. So I think if we want to do this, we should do it through a UBCM grant. I think we could put something forward now, but I think that if we're looking at places to reduce later on, we should be robustly pursuing the grants and maybe looking at reducing this one so we could put money elsewhere. What's the amount that's been thrown forward?
They were at 7.
7. I'm going to go with half that for now because I really do hope we could do better with the grants.
Mayor Tate?
so I'm not sure about the timelines on the grants and how different organizations would qualify to be able to make those grants. So I hear what you're saying in spirit. But in this case, this is a group that has a growing need. I feel that also when we look at our monthly police reports, we hear continually about the increasing calls for domestic violence. I'm also aware that within Sooke in the women's shelter that they have, which is connected to this particular group, they have made arrangements for more individuals to fit within the house, and the office has been converted to handle for people to stay as opposed for office use. So just thinking of the other one for Sooke Shelter, which seemingly has made headway with provincial funding, I would say then to reallocate the funding from one to the other. This is a growing need in our community, and it may help again in the future years if the province does need to step up and support women that are fleeing violence.
So you're 7K?
I will 7.
Did I hear from everybody? Okay, then it's me. I have, again, problems with this in that, again, it's a download. I know it's necessary. I'm not so sure it's a provincial or a civic responsibility here. You know, I know I've done work for the transition house in the past through my Lions Club. I know the work they do, and I know how essential it is. And I had the same thing when I worked the crisis line. I'm very, very sympathetic, but I'm just not so sure that that should come out of our coffers. So I don't know on this one. I don't know whether to just say no and then bump it to discussion, or as we find what the totals are, which we're going to know pretty soon, and one that we come back to. So I'll stick with the 7K at now, but I have a lot of reservations about it. So, okay, we'll go on to number 32. Sorry, go ahead,
Just
Councilor
a
Bailey.
quick note that could be a COVID funding for that.
Mhm. Okay, number, go ahead, that's good. Yeah, Councilor Pearson, if you could turn off your mic, please, thanks. I got to say it this time, good. All right, the next one is South First Nations, 7,000 to provide fresh, affordable foods, traditional medicines. You have it all in front of you, I don't need to read it out. So I will go with Mayor Tate first.
I will go with 7,000 for the Sooke.
Councilor St. Pierre.
I think this is the first time ask, and in the spirit of reconciliation, I'll go with 7,002.
Councilor Pearson.
Just a question through the chair to start, why was there no funding last year? What was that? I've got
I
on,
don't think they asked last year, did they?
no, because it got it in 2023. And then 2022 says none, and then 2024 0.
There may not have been an application.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not aware of it. What's your thoughts here, Councilor Pearson?
Okay, no, I will, you know, with their new healing center just being built, I think that it sends a message that we're.
Did I get everybody or did I? Oh, go, Councilor Bateman, go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm absolutely in support of this. At the same time, noting that the it's a $7,000 project with 5,000 already supplied by the Indigenous Sport, Physical Activity and Recreation Council, which is ISPARC. So that would leave 2,000 remaining.
If I may,
Yes.
my apologies, staff, just in our catching up to council, noted that we missed the South Vancouver Island Farmers Institute.
Oh, you're right.
Okay, so I'll just carry on with what I was
Yeah,
saying.
that, we'll come back to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That, yeah. So yeah, so I would suggest then that 2,000 would be the appropriate top up to the 5,000 that's already been submitted for this project.
Okay, hope I haven't missed anybody. A little punchy here. We're gonna take a break in a few minutes anyways. I'm not in favor of the 7,000. I'm sorry, 2,000 at best. This is for a program on the South Nation. I know there's reconciliation going on, but they have their own financial stream to support things like this, so I'm not so sure it's something that falls under the district of Sooke. In the spirit of reconciliation and our neighbors, because it is separate from us, with us, is I would go for the 2K, but I would not go for anything more. So unless we move off the 7-7, then it's when we come back for a vote.
So I guess the 2, because they already have 5 then. Okay,
Okay,
understood.
Everybody else in agreement there?
Thank
Councillor
you.
Pearson, I'm just looking at you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go for 2K on that one. Oh, very good. Okay, great. And now we'll come back to Vancouver Island Farmers Institute. We'll start with Mayor Tate. Go ahead.
So this one is for $500.
Yeah.
I would support the $500.
Councillor Pearson.
Yes, based on the presentation and that there is participation from Sooke farmers and they get out as far as Machosen. She did a good presentation there the other night, and I think we can support something like this for 500.
Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Councillor
Same here.
St. Pierre.
Same, I'll confirm that Sooke farmers are using the program.
Okay. Now for me, I had a no down, but it's such a, no, just that, no, I had a small, it was such a small ask. But the fact that Councillor St. Pierre says that it is being used by local farmers, I would be okay with the 500. So we'll go on for that one. Victoria Compost and Conservation Education Society. Sorry, did I miss one? No. I'm only on 33.
This was reordered.
Okay, sorry. So I'm on 33, Victoria Compost and Conservation. So, okay, Councillor Pearson, we'll go for you. Put your mic on and we'll go.
I don't know what they do. I read their presentation. 0 for me.
All right, Councillor Bateman.
Well, soil science is critically important. They're creating future soil stewards, quote unquote, among grades from kindergarten to grade 12. There are no, I see that the CRD provides 24% of its funding, and City of Victoria provides 6.9% of its funding, but no other local governments are seemingly part of their mix. However, because they do this Let It Rot program with reference to Sooke teachers and students, I think they're seeking 2,500. I would recommend 2,000.
Okay, for Councillor Bateman. I lost track of everything now. I guess Mayor Tate.
I was going to go down a bit to the CRD kicking in 3,000 for the region, no other schools. We could contribute 1,000.
Okay, so we have a 1,000 from there. Councillor St. Pierre.
I spoke to some teachers about the program. They like the program, but they also note that they have to travel there for the program. It's not in Sooke and it's not offered in Sooke, which means that it's not really that different in some ways from the BC Royal Museum. I wouldn't support it. I think it's a great program, but I think it's supported elsewhere. And this is
So
definitely.
you're a 0.
I'm 0.
Okay. Last is me. I'm at 0. I didn't, it says confirm a direct benefit to Sooke, and I have a hard time with that. So mine is 0. So we have 2 zeros, a 1, a 2, and must be another amount, eh? I must have missed that one. So can we?
No,
Oh.
given what Councillor St. Pierre shared about the field trip, and it's not here directly in our school.
So you're 0?
Yeah.
I'm 0. You're 0. Oh, everybody 0. Okay, so we'll drop that one. All right. Victoria Native Friendship Center. And that is the totem pole project. Involves storing and installing a totem pole. So I will start with oh my God, who do I start with? Councillor Bateman. We'll put you on the spot this
Okay,
time.
well-
And your mic off, Councillor Pearson.
Okay, well, this is It's interesting. I did talk to some people from the museum and the Historical Society at Sooke. And this is the poll, of course, for those who are not following along at home. This is the poll that was at the Harbor House, a family poll for the Phillips family. And carved, of course, by Carrie Newman of Witness Blanket fame. So it's felt that it would be an appropriate home at the museum. It's the hosting group here is the Victoria Native Friendship Center. And the Sooke have submitted a letter saying that there are no objections. So that's as far as I understand. I think we have to be, they also note in the letter that they are not a totem people, and hence there needs to be a plaque with this totem pole that clearly states that. Now, and that's all I have to say at this point. I think I'd like to hear from others,
Okay,
and particularly those who perhaps have.
Councillor Pearson.
I wasn't sure about the application when it came and from the presentation, but it sounded like a good idea. The letter that came from Chief Underwood, that was signed by Chief Underwood, it gave me kind of pause. I wasn't quite sure if I interpreted, the presentation and the letter correctly, so I reached out to Sooke Nation and I talked to Councillor Dumont, and because she also sits on the museum board as well. They're well aware of the project. They are not a totem people. They are a canoe people, Sooke people, although they are right now in the process of educating theirs in house poles, which are a little bit different. It signifies the family. It has significance not to Sooke First Nations. They want to your point is they wanted to acknowledge that it's a totem on their traditional territory and they're not totem people. They're not opposed to it in any way, shape or form. It does represent the Phillips family and carved by renowned carver Carrie Newman, as you said. So it will be located on the museum if they can have it, but they have no objection to it at all. So they were very clear about that. So I would support $4,000 towards this project.
Councillor St. Pierre.
I had concerns myself because I did know that the Sooke are not totem people, and that was made clear at a certain point. With the words from the public, and thanks to your research, thank you very much, I could support. I would suggest again supporting this through SPA money if we can, because this is an art installation. So I would like to see if we could support through SPA. I would want to match the CRD at 3,000.
Okay, so we have a 4 and a 3. Mayor Tate? Or did I ask you already?
No.
Okay, good.
Thank you. In terms of the SPA funds, I'm not comfortable accessing that. The museum is not on district land and it's not a district-led project. So I would be fine using SPA funds on district-led work on district-owned land. So, just to speak to that part, I am comfortable matching the 3,000. And yeah, it was the letter from the Sooke. So thank you for reaching out. That the poll in particular was crafted specifically for a family and was located on land that was a business. So, but recognizing that because of that business and the efforts of the Phillips, they are a pioneering family for Sooke, if you want to use that term. So it would be, I could support funding partial of it, and however would leave that the museum will work out the plaque in a way that honors the Sooke, because within the letter it states, where is it here? They have no objection No objection. It has no cultural significance, no objection to the installation, provided it is clearly stated the pole is not an artifact of the Sooke and bears no connection to them. So I'll leave that with the museum though to solve that, because it is on their land and will remain under their stewardship.
Yeah, I'll comment on it. Mine is a no. I'm sorry, again, we work very closely with the Sooke Nation, and this is their traditional lands, and it's a totem. And they, even though they wrote a nice letter, I sort of read between the lines there that they weren't exactly promoting this. They just said that it really, if you do put it up, then they want a plaque that determines, makes sure that it's clear. And this is the Sooke Regional Museum we're talking about, and I think it should be accurate to the artifacts. I know there's a sort of a pioneering family that has a connection to it, but I can't support this at all. So unfortunately, I'd have full respect for the Sooke Nation in that I think it would just show a different, I mean, coming to educating whatever you call settlers or whatever, I don't really agree in that term, but I think that, you know, I learn every day, and I learned that the Sooke wasn't a totem society, and that means something to me because they're my neighbors, and I think that should be reflected in here. I mean, we have a museum which has the history, and this isn't part of the history, so I cannot support this at all. So it's a flat zero for me, and I'm sticking with that. So, Councillor St. Pierre.
I just wanted to comment. I did look at the Sooke Community Grants Program for Arts, and it specifies nonprofit organizations for eligibility, unincorporated groups, but doesn't specify on district lands or any of the rest of that. So I think they would still be eligible, at least in terms of the policy. So there is that possibility if we decide to go with zero here.
So I hear 4, 3, 3, 0, and 1. I'm not sure. I think Councillor Bateman, you gave me a number.
Well, I like that CRD matching 3,000.
So we have 3, 3, 4, 0. 0. What was your, sorry, Councillor Bateman? 3. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'll bite the bullet on that one too. I was going to stick firm, but all right. So we have pretty much a consensus on 3. We'll stick with 3. Okay, I'll go on. Victoria Sexual Assault Center. And they're asking for 7,000. So we'll go with Councillor Pearson first.
I support this application. I just was a piece that it was about the funding sources. I just have to go back, and seems like the funding comes all around us. Comes from Oak Bay, it comes from Saanich Peninsula. And then we are listed at the bottom, but it's not confirmed. I would like to see more. I'm not sure. I'm sending back to that one.
So you don't.
Oak Bay, Sooke. Oak Bay 5,000, Sooke grant 7,000, Saanich Peninsula grant, VSAC donations 11,000.
Are those confirmed, or are those what they're asking for?
It doesn't state whether it's confirmed or
Okay.
not. It's open. So I guess that's the grants that they're asking for. I'm
Okay.
assuming that.
Okay.
So I'd like to support this organization. I'm aware of it from my previous role.
How much you're interested?
I would say that we should be supporting this at about 3,500.
3,500. Councillor Bateman.
Well, I think in looking at their budget, I see a lot of it is staffing to the point where materials and phones are the only thing that isn't staffing, and that's $253. So as I said to the applicant 2 weeks ago, it's noted here 2.78% of its 4,700 clients in 2024 are from Sooke. So it's definitely a Sooke connection here. And what I suggested was probably not going to qualify because of this staffing expenses here. and that they come back again next year with something operational. Anyway, so
What's your number?
I'm gonna say, I hate to say it, but nothing, 0.
Okay, Counselor St. Pierre.
I am sadly in agreement. Mostly because I don't know why Sooke would be more than Oak Bay or Sanish and so on and so forth. First of all, that doesn't make any sense. But also, it is all operational. And again, we're basically picking up a download that hasn't necessarily been offered to us. We need the province to step up on stuff like this. It's critically important, but it's not actually in our wheelhouse, period. And this is pretty much all operational. And I don't think we would be developing a service agreement. This is all operational.
0.
Yeah.
Mayor Tate.
No, I appreciate the work that is being done here. I was once a a crisis line support worker, a volunteer for 3 years with this organization for 20 some years ago now. It's just, it is operational in nature. I would be fine to maybe contribute $1,000, but where's Victoria? Where's Langford? Where's Colwood? Where's Saanich? Where's everyone else? This is a service that benefits all on the South Island, and I'm only seeing a few municipalities be involved here, so I could contribute something. And then I think it's not just because we have a program, but I think others also need to step in, or the province needs to do its part as well.
So Counselor Pearson, did you give me a number? I can't remember.
I did at 3,500 and
Oh,
I thought
sorry.
that we could apply it to furniture or something like that or fixtures.
Okay, everybody's spoken, so I have the mark down for $1,000. I agree with Counselor Bateman and Mayor Tate that most of this goes to wages. And I thought 1,000 was pretty generous, but I'd be willing to stick with that. So we got 2 zeros, 1,000 and 3,500. So is anybody willing to make that any movements off there?
I'll move
To 1,000?
yes.
How about the others?
I can move to 1,000, but I think when we go outside of our policy in terms of, absorbing operational costs for something that's outside of our wheelhouse or our strategic priorities, we're really making it possible, well, likely
Understood.
that anyone and everyone will come, the kind of precedent you were talking about
Yeah,
before,
yeah.
the dangerous precedent. So I disagree. I'm willing to
Okay.
move, so we move, but
Well, I mean, I also want to get it right, and you're making compelling arguments. I don't have a problem with that. So if you're willing to stick with 0, and Mayor Tate's sticking with 0, and Council Bateman sticking with 0, then you went to 1,000?
I went to
Yeah,
1,000,
yeah, yeah.
but given the piece around the operational, I understand why it's 0, unfortunately.
So you're going to change to 0?
I can, yeah.
0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so that's 0.
Sadly.
Yeah, sadly, and agreed. I mean, unfortunately, sometimes we look at the bad guys here. We're trying to balance the budgets, and it'd be nice to give everybody everything, and then we got to be conscious of our taxpayers too. Number 36 is Where Art Society. Where to start? Sorry. Okay, well, Mayor Tate, you can start off with that one.
Thank you. I am familiar with this program and the work that they're doing, which is excellent. It's helping women get back into the workforce and providing that support. I'm also aware, though, that the Transition House also offers something similar in their thrift shop where women can access clothing for both themselves and their family. So would someone here go all the way to Johnson Street in Victoria to access the service? Did you hear any of that? in your presentation?
Yeah, I'll clarify
need a
that
bit
because
more
she
about
did
that.
give us a presentation. She lives in Sooke, and she would be willing to bring these parcels out to the Sooke people.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think she is connected to the food bank, but she is a Sooke person, and she spoke very positively for it. I was quite impressed myself.
Okay, so then that's where, because I just want to make sure we're funding something that our
Yeah, she assured that,
population
yeah,
can
she,
reach. Okay.
because my question to her was that your boutique is at 733 Johnson where she hands these things out. And I said, people from Sooke I forget what it was, like $10 or $20, when these bundles they give out, would they be able to, for them to go downtown, it cost them $20. She says, no, she lives here. She brings them out once she knows. So, okay, I guess we'll need a dollar amount. I'll start it off. I said $1,000. Okay, Mayor Tate,
I was gonna say the 2,000 then.
okay, you can.
Yep, 2,000 for me then.
Okay, Counselor Bateman.
Yeah, I'll go 2,000, a first-time applicant, and with that strong Sooke connection.
Counselor Pearson.
Yes, and I'll add an editorial comment. Counselor Bateman and I attended AVICC linear thinking. Doing something small can have big impact. And this is less about the $75 gift bag. It's about people reaching out and helping and giving a hand up, and it may have impact and just be that positive bright light in someone's. It's not a big ask, and doing, the presentation was amazing to the chair's comment. So I would support 2,000.
Okay, I think we can settle on 2,000. I'm okay with it. Okay. Okay, that brings my list to a close. I know we're going to go back, but I'd like to take a 5-minute break, please.
You still have the ones that are in conflict, so there's 3
Yeah.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
understood.
okay.
Yeah, we'll come back and deal with those, but I think we've been at it long enough. We need a 5-minute break.
Okay, perfect.
So, there's a couple of ways to climb this tree. What I might suggest is for council to make decisions on all of the items that were deferred first as a group. Or we could have apologies, I'm struggling here. Or we could deal with the motions with a conflict of interest. It's certainly up to council and the chair. 3.
Yeah.
We'll do those first. Perfect. Potentially we'll wait for Mr. Curry and
Where are you gonna be that we can find you?
I'll go just sit out there. There's a
Okay.
chair out there.
Okay, Scouts, minor hockey, what was the last one?
Soccer.
Soccer, okay.
So on the minor.
No,
Grandpa.
you're not paying a register. to do all that.
Yeah, you don't. I'm a grandpa, I pay a lot of stuff. Okay, so, when.
my apologies, we need to wait until Mayor.
Yeah, I
Tate.
understand, yeah. No, Scouts first, we'll go Scouts. Okay, we're good to go. We'll do with the Scouts. We will start with Councillor Pearson.
It's a one-time ask. And I guess my question around the recertification of wilderness first aid, will these people be, I guess they're gonna be available. They don't have to live in Sooke, but I guess they'll be available to the organization after they're trained. They're not here to ask the question, so.
No, it makes it tough, doesn't it? So just throw a number out there and then we'll.
2,000.
2,000, okay, Councillor Bateman.
Yeah,
Looked at their presentation.
yeah. So that's 10 volunteers to take wilderness first aid, 6 to take standard first aid. And these volunteers will serve. Yeah, as you're saying, however, how many years, but so yeah, I'll say 3,000.
Okay, Councillor St. Pierre.
I was a scout. I support scouting and I support scouts doing their own fundraising. I'll say 0.
Okay, I written down 3,000. I do. I'm very sympathetic to the fact that these people need to do some of their own fundraising. But I'd like to, in the interest of safety, do something. So I'd be inclined to go for 3,000. So we have 3, 3, 3, and 0.
Okay, I'll
Are
make
you
it
gonna-
to 3,000. Or, oh, no.
Well, you may make. Are you going to move?
Make a motion. Oh, yeah, no, sorry, I jumped.
It's this matter. No, if we do it the gentleman way first, are you willing to move off the 0 or you want to stick to it? I mean, you can't. Okay. All right. So you're going to make.
Just because that, I was thinking about that to clean it up.
Okay, you want to make a motion for 3,000 for the
Yes, sir.
Scouts? We have a seconder with Councillor Bateman. Okay, discussion, you motivate first, please.
Yep, I just think that it's a one-time ask. They haven't come to us. They're gonna provide a valuable service. Scouting is another youth organization. And having 10 people trained in first aid is a good thing in our community.
Okay, Councillor Bateman, motivate.
Echo exactly that.
Okay, any other comments? So I guess we're over to you, Councillor St. Pierre.
I think it's out of our wheelhouse. We're paying for training for a private organization that's mostly going to provide services for its own members. They're well established. They have a long history. They have camps and lands available. They have fundraising ability. They don't actually need our help. We have a long list of organizations that really do need our help, and we don't have enough money. I think they can do it themselves.
Okay, I will speak last. Like I say, I had 3,000 down. I can't even remember my reasoning now, but I did think about it up in Sycamoose, a great deal. So we had others, so I will vote for the 3,000. So all those in favor, all those against, so that is passed. One dissenting vote to Councillor St. Pierre. All right, the next one is minor hockey. What number was that, please? So I gotta find it on here.
14.
Yeah, minor hockey. Yeah, it's a 14 on my list. Okay, so minor hockey, they're looking for uniforms and stuff. So I guess I could speak first. I don't generally like to when I'm chairing, but I will because I can. But no, I shouldn't say that. Again, this is one of those slippery slopes. I mean, I know parents, you put your kid in hockey. If they want a jersey, the soccer people want jerseys, lacrosse people want jerseys. I mean, at the Lions Club, we get these requests all the time, and it's basically a no from us now. We decided not to do that. So I'm saying no. So I'll go to Councillor St. Pierre,
I agree with the chair for those same reasons.
Councillor Bateman.
Yeah, we did set a precedent with the Sooke Soccer Club. But that did not come out of community grants, I don't think. I think they came to us for sponsorship.
Yeah,
So
see, that's
that's
a little
another
different.
matter. So yeah, I'll agree that we can't be setting these
Okay.
precedents.
Councillor Pearson.
I'm glad we have a hockey arena and I'm glad that we supply a lot of things. I think that getting down to the macro level or the granular level, I think that providing uniforms is beyond where the taxpayers should be going.
Okay, so that's a 0. I think we're all in, we don't need a motion for that. We just agree for that. No,
We can, for the Minor Hockey Association and Sooke Soccer Club, we could potentially have council by consensus, let me know what to pencil in, and I will be seeking a motion for both of them unless we
okay,
wanted
yeah,
to.
0.
Moving on to the Sooke Soccer Club.
Okay, and the soccer was what number? Somebody quickly. 7? Okay. No, that's Lee.
Yeah, there.
Sooke Soccer, 29 on mine. Okay. I've got, again, it's the same sort of thing. And this is not a startup, eh? With the basketball, it was a startup, and I've got no, it's precedent setting for the same reasons why we talked about it previously. So I don't think we need to supply everything for sports groups. So that was me. So Councillor St. Pierre. Okay, Councillor Bateman.
Well, this is somewhat different. It is very different. In fact, this is
Go
a
ahead.
community inclusion program with designed to get kids in, I believe, elementary schools interested and engaged in soccer. 2 events per school, free soccer clinics, 12 events in total, and 1 event at Fred Mill. I did note they have within their budget $5,400 for soccer equipment. And I was thinking that would be the pylon, soccer balls, program tees, and safety gear. So I'd like to recommend 5,400.
Okay, we'll hear from Councillor Pearson and then we'll go for a vote.
Yeah, and this is a little bit different than the asking for jerseys for each individual players because I thought that the jerseys go home with the student or with the players. I'm not sure if they actually do.
Mhm.
This one looks like it's more for purchasing equipment and supplies and also promoting the game, similar to what we granted for basketball. So I
What's
think
your
that was
dollar?
kind of the way I saw it. I'm just trying to read it.
Can you
again.
give me a dollar amount, please?
I would support them at, what did I say? Okay, I didn't write a number down. That's weird. I will say 3,500.
Okay. I guess I already asked you, didn't I? Yeah, 0. Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, well, let's talk it up. I will back off a bit because I probably was quick to judge there. I can certainly see them giving something, but I'm certainly not inclined to go for the 7,000. I would support 3,500. Councillor St. Pierre, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think that this is in the weeds outside our wheelhouse. And it's operational on top of that. It's ongoing. This is stuff that will be used all the time. There will never be an end to this one. So it's not a startup.
Okay,
I would suggest that this is not where we want to go.
okay, so you're zero still, Counselor Pearson?
So through the chair to
Mr. Curry.
would this qualify for a sponsorship grant? And how much do we have in our sponsor? Like, I think we should sponsor them for something, but maybe the community grant is not the venue.
It is eligible for a
How
sponsorship.
much do we have in this sponsor?
We have 12,500 available this year. We bumped it up 10,000 just from COVID restart funds, just on the basis that council typically will fund sponsorships throughout the year from the contingencies. We wanted you to have some options this year with the COVID restart funds. So yes, it's eligible. I can just double check what the policy says for a maximum for sponsorship, but typically council's like kind of approved what has been asked for in the past, not based on any maximum value.
So Counselor Pearson, you, very good question and a very good answer from Mr. Curry. Would you be willing to make an amount and a motion that we do a sponsorship for this and hit an amount up? Because I'm not entirely sure that I want to give 7,000, but I'd be inclined to support a motion of something. So if you want to start that off and then get it on the table.
Okay. Before I make the motion,
Go ahead.
to my fellow councillors, and I was thinking about the sponsorship. Would there be any appetite to sponsor Sooke minor hockey and Sooke soccer for the same amount? Because and I would pick a number like say $3,000 each. We'll sponsor them, and then along with that, the communication that it doesn't really land in community grants. This is not the intent of, in my opinion, of community grant. Like the one that's starting up, I think that hits our policy well.
Yeah, I like to comment on that in that I don't think, again, we're dealing, the Jersey thing was a total, to me, it was a separate thing. And that's something we should very much stay away from, even in sponsorships, because all the teams would want them. This is a little different. It's sort of a teaching thing. And I could move to 3,000, but I would not support moving it to the hockey. And our CAO has got her hand up, so I will ask her.
I just wanted to, through your worship, remind council of the language of the current sponsorship policy in our
Yes.
community grants. So it says, council will consider sponsoring requests throughout the year, separate from community grant process. Requests for sponsorship funding must be submitted in writing to Director of Finance. Fine. Subject to budgetary considerations, sponsorships will be considered for amounts up to $500. Sponsorship requests exceeding 500 may be approved only by unanimous resolution of council, and council shall only enter into sponsorship arrangements with funding recipients whose objectives and activities are compatible with council legislative requirements, district policies, and organizational values. So if it's going to be over 500, it has to be unanimous, the way I read the policy currently.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just back up the bus here a little bit. We've done the hockey, and now we're onto this. So I think we just get the hockey out of that. We've already decided that. And this one, although it's noble, unless you put a dollar amount and then, but they haven't really applied for a sponsorship, right? So then we can't very well just say, hey, we're going to give you this under a sponsor when they haven't asked for it. Is it possible to say no and ask them to make an application as a sponsor?
Yes, through your worship, the way I read the policy, interpret the policy is anytime during the year, someone can ask for sponsorship. And then we just will bring a report forward to council
Okay,
with the
and
request.
$500 is, if anything over $500 has to be unanimous.
Correct.
Okay, so my suggestion is that we take this out of this and inform them that they have to apply under the sponsorship and then come back to us. So what's council's thoughts on that? Councilor St. Pierre.
I like what Councilor Pearson had to say. I think that the idea of whenever this comes up, events and, one-time things that do fit under sponsorship, we let them know, like, especially if it comes in community grants, we let them know, this is not the right venue. This doesn't quite fit. This does fit. Please apply. And that helps really clarify things. So along with that communication, I think the communication piece is important. And $500, I know it's not as much as they want, But
We can go over that, but we just
We
has to be
can.
unanimous,
We
so.
can, and it has to come forward.
So your thoughts are that they apply under the sponsorship?
Absolutely.
Okay, and my thoughts are the same way, Counselor Bateman.
I think that we should be following through with community grants. If I can find I initially said 5,400, then Councillor Pearson mentioned 3,500. I would be happy with 3,500 out of the community grant policy, community grant fund. You know, this eligibility, sports and recreation must demonstrate a benefit to the district Sooke community in one or more of the following areas. Sports and recreation is number one on that list. And I think this program is doing exactly that. I'll move that we from the community grant fund, we give 3,500 to
Okay.
the Sooke Soccer Club.
I'll second.
Okay, so a motion, we have a seconder and you've already motivated you on, okay. Okay, did you want to discuss anything more, Councillor Pearson?
No.
Okay, any other comments?
Again, I just don't think this is where we should be going. I think we have a sponsorship fund that will do this work for us. And I think it helps really clear things up so that everybody knows what to expect. I think that going in this direction just opens us up to a lot of confusion and setting a bad precedent. So.
Wow, I can see this is, well, thank you for that. I'm really torn now because I'm inclined to think it is out of our wheelhouse. And I can see how the vote's gonna go. Wow. I guess what I have to do is call the question. Go ahead, you can go speak again.
I just before we call the question, I think that Ellie Mina told us very clearly, don't make motions on the fly, don't change. I think that the sponsorship policy should be reviewed. I think 500 is too low in this day and age. I think that's all part of it. I have no problem supporting this because we are community grants today, but I think it gives us a message that along with our community grant revision that is coming, that we should also look at our sponsorship programs.
Could I get from our corporate officer, if the vote is taken and it fails, we can still recommend to these people to come back under the sponsorship?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, so I think, and anybody else got anything to say, or I'm gonna call for the question? Okay, all those in favor of the 3,500? All those against? That motion has been defeated. So what I suggest that, do we need a motion from us to tell them that, or do we, okay, we're gonna find out. I think that's the proper way to go.
Pardon me, what was the question?
Well, I would like to see these people get some money, but I want to do it through this is me personally, I like to see them do the sponsorship. So we can, if we tell them that we couldn't do it under this, we'd rather entertain it under the sponsorship. Can we tell them that? Sure we can, I guess. So do you need a motion from us to give it to you to tell them to contact them?
Our practice at the staff level is that we do follow up with applicants, all applicants, to relay the outcome. And at that time, staff is happy to just relay that message.
So could Councillor Bateman?
Yeah, and just equally, you could mention the contingency fund is also absolutely open and accessible for requests on them. Is that true? Yes, it is true.
I would suggest potentially to tighten up the decision if it's council's decision to allocate $0, that motion might be might want to be entertained so that it's not open-ended. Because at this time, council has defeated
We have defeated
motion.
3,500, but if we do a 0 and it gets 2 and 2, it's defeated too. So, but
Eventually, that's looking into the crystal ball. There may be,
Okay.
I just want council to be aware that potentially there might be an opportunity to meet in the middle. Just that defeating a motion isn't necessarily absolute.
yeah, that's a good point. And again, I had a difficult time with the 0. I'd be inclined to, do a smaller amount than 3,500. So I'll make a motion, that we since the other one is defeated, I'll make a motion that we supply $2,000. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Okay, we have a seconder. We have the floor for 2,000. And I'm just trying to find some medium ground here to I want to give some support rather than go through the long process and $2,000 comes out of another fund. I'd be willing to do $2,000. It's Councilor St. Pierre.
I'm willing to support this simply to move forward. I don't actually think that this is something that we should be doing in this way. Having said that, if this motion fails, I would suggest tabling the motion till after we've looked at the community investment policy and we have something better to guide us.
Okay, so you can comment on it, Councilor Bateman?
Yeah, I will support this while at the same time arguing we should probably be doing the full request. The World Cup is coming in 2026, Seattle, Vancouver. I think young kids, now's a good, like basketball, now is the time to really ingrain these lifelong habits and practices, but 2,000.
Councilor Pearson?
Yeah, I will support getting them some money. I was gonna say 3,000, but I'm not gonna beleaguer the point. I think that we've moved off 7,000 down to 2,000. We went to 3,500. Now what didn't pass? So now we're at 2,000. I think that 3,000 is better than 2,000.
So we have a motion on the floor for 2,000. We've all spoken, so I will call the question. All those in favor? That's 3. All those against? 1. So record that negative vote. So that is passed. So that's it for them. Now we can get the mayor back. Sorry.
No, because we didn't bundle the decision
Okay.
for minor hockey, we'll still require a motion for $0 to the District of Sooke Hockey, Minor Hockey Association.
Okay, I'll make that motion. And seconded by St. Pierre. We've talked about it enough, so all those, anybody else want to comment? I won't rush it through. All those in favor? 3. Councilor Pearson, that's 4. Was that a no?
Opposed.
Opposed, okay. All right, then that's that, eh? Okay, we get the mayor back. How many have we got that we've
Yeah. There's a semi-iron.
where, I don't have it. Oh, it's coming.
Oh, we're up to 91,000.
No, that was the fun one. You missed that.
I'm not sure if at this time council would like to visit the standalone items that we've bumped to the end of the list or review what's penciled in.
Oh. Well, that's a good question, and I it's not one that I need to get some answers from my colleagues. Should we have a look at the ones we got, or we just run the last totals and then go back and have a look and see if we need to shave it? I'm inclined to think let's just get on with some numbers here, and then we'll know what the total is in the end, and then we'll have to see if it's okay with us, that number.
One in yellow.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So, okay, I'll make that decision. We're gonna do it this way, or I guess I can, eh? Sure, okay, we'll do that. All right, so give me the first one there, please. Is this it? Sooke Shelter Society? No, we're gonna.
The Friends of Sooke Park
Okay, I was
Society.
bopping all over the place and trying to find it, Mr. Curry. Okay, Friends of the Sooke Park Society and oh, that's, yeah, okay, and they were asking for $6,000, and let's see where we settled on that, okay. Do you, okay, I guess we sort of have to start over again, because I'm trying to think of 9, what did, somebody refresh my memory of where we sat with this? We had
3,500 to 4K
3,500?
to 4K. Yeah, we had some people at 3,500, some people at 4, and I think one person at 6.
Yeah, that was it.
I have one-
Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, anyways, we'll just do it over again as, I'll go around the table. So Councillor St. Pierre, what were you at? Well, right now, let's just see where we are in the numbers and then we'll come back to you, okay? 2K, Mayor? Okay,
I had 6,000 with a question mark.
okay. And, Bateman, Councillor Bateman?
Yeah, in the wake of that Sooke Soccer Society, I'm confused here, but I'll go 6,000, please, for the Friends of Sooke Parks.
Councillor Pearson?
I had 3,500, but I think I moved it. I've got smiley face before 4K. So I'm proposing 4K.
Okay.
That's me, I guess, the smiley face.
So 2, 4, I got 5 and I already got 5 down here and I haven't got my number yet. So I got 2K, 6K, 6K, 3,500 and 4K. So, somebody would like to make a motion or?
I'll move that council provide the Friends of Sooke Park Society with $5,000 from the community grant.
Do we have a seconder for that motion?
I'll say.
Go ahead. Okay, we have a seconder
Well,
for that.
I threw 5,000 in because that seemed to be a bit of a middle ground between 2 6s, a 35 and 4. Then there was a 2, I think.
Yeah.
So maybe not so much.
So we have 5,000 and we have a mover and a seconder and Councillor Pearson indicated they did put it on the floor for discussion. Do you want to discuss it any further, Councillor Pearson?
Well, I think it's a valuable asset in our community. I would support it at 4,000 on a vote.
But you're not supporting it at a 5. Okay, and Councillor St. Pierre?
I like the work that they do. I note that in the revenue, there's actually nothing firm except for potentially us. So there's really no money there on the table. Everything else is. But they've done great work and they have stepped up to do that work. I think we should support them, but again, this is
You're
more.
gonna support them for the 5 though.
Not for the
mo-
5, not for, I was inclined towards about 3,500 or 3,000. So that's, I mean, I would.
So you're
willing
not
to-
gonna support the 5, Mayor Tate? We'll get there.
Sure. Yes.
So, okay, so you're gonna support 5. Okay, well then, I'm reluctant at 5. I'd be more inclined to 4. So we have a motion on the floor for 5,000. All those in favor?
Can we just amend? Can I then, Chair, just amend the motion to $4,000?
If I may,
Yeah,
because of the nature of this type of discussion, amendments can get out of control by further amendments of the, so it's just cleaner
defeated
to
and then go on to a
restart.
new one.
That's
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So let's call that question again. We have all those in favor of the 5K. We have 1, all those again, 2, sorry. And those against? Okay, so that has failed. So I'll entertain another motion.
We support the Friends of Sooke Park Society for $4,000.
We have a motion. We have a seconder from Councillor St. Pierre. You'd like to motivate? No, heard enough. Councillor St. Pierre, no. Anybody else want to comment? Hearing none, all those in favor of supplying $4,000. That's unanimous. That's done. Okay, next. Sure. Go ahead. You have.
Is it right at the top, that 100,000, 150?
Yes, it is. That's a live tally to what's been currently
That is the
funded.
live tally. Okay.
I've made suggestions on what's eligible for COVID restart funding. And by putting items that are for serving a vulnerable population, or also emergency support services can be funded there too. So I've added that as we've moved along. But
Okay.
you can move the pots of funding as you choose.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, right now, at 65 and 32 is 97 and 2 is 99. We're up, we're over. So how does that work in terms of the tally? We'll just have to see where it lands. Is that the ending? Or?
I'm not quite sure what your question is.
You know what? I think I'm just going to trust the process.
Okay.
Carry on.
All right, I'm a little confused where we are, but that's okay. You had a question. Go ahead.
Oh, I think we're moving into number 10.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
And
Yeah,
I do have a motion there that the district give $1,000 to the Wanda Fuca Performing Arts Center Society.
okay, we have a motion on the floor for $1,000. We have a seconder. You want to motivate, please?
So I'll motivate that. I heard a lot of zeros earlier, and I did speak to the reasons if we indeed do have an official Sooke liaison, council liaison with this society, then we need to at least show marginal support. It was noted by Ms. Cullington when she spoke to us that Langford had reduced its amount to 1,500. So I figure 1,000 is a fair contribution by Sooke, in addition to monies from View Royal, Machosen, and Colwood.
Okay, Councillor Pearson.
Nope, thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Councillor St. Pierre.
The reason that I'm voting against the monies here is because I was part of the Wanda Fuca corridor project, such, and it came loud and clear from several members of the arts community that we desperately need a venue here. And now we've been talking about Lot A and potentially having additional shred and redesigns. We've been talking about a lot of things, but again, as someone who's in a choir trying to perform, that venue is not useful to us. We desperately need a venue here. I would rather spend $2,000 on anything that would assist us here in Sooke with developing more performance.
So the motion is
venues.
for 1,000, you're aware of that.
And I would go with 0. I think that this is a venue that will not be here and will in fact potentially take some of our people, like the Sooke Fine Arts Show, away. And I don't want the Sooke Fine Arts Show to go away. I would like to keep it here. So I think I'd rather spend $2,000 on tent. I'd rather spend $2,000 on planning. I'd like to spend it anywhere else except for exporting facilities and our talent.
Mayor Tate?
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. We do have a counselor assigned to this work. In some ways, it's to just so we are aware of what's occurring outside and how that impacts our particular community. But I do tend to agree with Councillor St. Pierre that we do require, like it's the same, we are funding the CRD Arts program. And that's been on a sort of interim basis, so we could determine how and when our groups are getting funded. We looked at it as a external revenue source to help fund the arts. But we also, over the years, paid for new theater seats here for a facility within our own community. And so I would rather see any, like, just given the constraints and how we have been paring away funding from local based organizations, I'd rather see $1,000 be reallocated to another group in Sooke. So
that's a zero
sorry.
for you.
And then I think in terms of where counselors are appointed to, that's another conversation that we need to have. Are we spreading our council members too thin over having representation on everything? So that might be another conversation in looking at where we're funding and where we aren't and who's attending what for what reason.
Okay, I'll speak first, then I'll come back to you, okay? I initially had no one here. I thought it was too broad. When I see Elements Casino View Royal, it kind of gets me a little bit going, but so unfortunately I can't support the $1,000, but go ahead, Councillor Bateman, I'll let you go back.
Yeah, I won't argue further. I do look forward to a future conversation because this is contribution of my time to a West Shore group that the district did agree to support and participate in. I will note that at the Wanda Fuca tourism meeting last week online, again, this came up. I believe the Amber Academy spoke passionately about the need for a black box theater in the heart of town. And this is something that's being discussed for at least a decade, the EMCS Society. I know the Harbor Players want to see a theater in town. They're looking at like 700-seater, some sort of expandable kind of event space. And my answer to, or my comment to the Amber Academy comment just last week was that there are parallel tracks here. We're developing, this group is developing a theater of regional significance on the West Shore. Okay, so the CRD has developed a performing arts facilities service, which is very much looking at supporting the downtown theaters and the Charlie White Theatre out in Sydney. And that facility service has agreed that there is a gap for a West Shore theater of professional theater, not a school theater, professional theater of 350 seats, which would not be a suitable home for the fine art show, by the way. It's a theater complex with some secondary areas for what am I thinking? Art studios and pottery sheds and all those good things. So,
Okay.
so the points are there, and I've made my point. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Yeah, Counselor Pearson. Punch it.
I think that the message that comes along with $1,000 of support is just as important as the $1,000 of support. This is one of these ones where you participate, when I think about our good friend Brenda Parkinson and what she would be saying today, the support for the arts community. I think that message goes out to our friends in the other communities. $1,000 is not, it's not a lot of money, but it says that you're supportive, and I would like to see future groups be considered from Sooke to be included in, renting the space or having access to that. And I think sometimes the political messages that people take away are dangerous on one side and positive on the other. So anyway.
Well, we're paid, no, okay, I'll come up one more time, but then I think we're going to vote.
I find Councillor Pearson's rationale quite convincing. I think that providing a message of support, $1,000 is not very much. I think that also supporting Councillor Bateman in his work with the group so that it's just not plain embarrassing, I think is also worth something. I do think that we need to spend more time actually really thinking about how to get that performance venue here. And I think my reaction is strongly.
Yeah, well, we'll deal with this, Terry. We won't have a great
I
discussion.
realize that,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that my strong reaction is because of that.
Okay, Mayor Tate.
Just final on this, and I do appreciate Councillor Bateman's time as well as Councillor Lajeunesse prior to. But so far, I'm seeing some in process here for the municipal grants and aid. And so none of it's confirmed as of yet. And I think if the intention was, okay, yes, you can be involved here, but you'll need to contribute, is a conversation that we need to have. We shouldn't feel compelled, because Councillor Bateman is there, we need to contribute $1,000. I don't recall what we provide to the family court and youth justice because it's probably through the CRD requisition. But we also do not participate in the theater service of the Royal and McPherson, because I do not see the benefit to local ratepayers out in Sooke as much as they would like us to contribute to those facilities. So in the event that something does get established in the West Shore, then we'll revisit that conversation at that time to see, will we even be granted representation? And if so, do we have to contribute in order to get representation? But that is a conversation down the road. Right now, our dollar amount is over budget for Sooke specific groups in a year when taxpayers are already paying a significant amount, and all these other groups involving youth that are here in town are being pared down. So no, I appreciate the work, but I cannot give $1,000. It sounds like a lot, but 1,000 might make a bigger deal to one of our local groups in getting sustainable funding for them over the line. So I'm sorry, but I'm
Okay.
unwilling to do it.
I think I've heard from everybody. I'm now going to call the question, and the vote is for $1,000 for the Wanda Fuqua Performing Arts Center Society. All those in favor? All those against? Okay, that's defeated. So I guess we could entertain another motion, but I think that's pretty much dead. Okay. All right, then the Royal Canadian Marine Search and Rescue. When I looked at this last time, we were at 2K, 2K0, 2K, 2K. So is somebody willing to make a motion, and then we get on the floor? Council Pearson, you're going to make 2,000?
Yes, I make a motion that we support the Royal Canadian Marine Search and Rescue Society, or Center for $2,000.
I'll
There-
second that.
Okay, we have a seconder. Do you want to motivate or we met?
No, I think we talked about that quite a bit
Okay.
earlier.
Mayor Tate, wanna,
No, I'll just add that in addition to the emergency that they do, this is rescuing folks that are on the water and getting them to safety. So this is within our jurisdiction. It is volunteers and like that are out here. And it does support our district, our municipality out at Sioux Point. So I'm in support.
anybody else? Go ahead, Council St. Pierre.
Yeah, the reason I don't support this is because all the work that's on the water is already covered elsewhere. This is actually strictly for a shipping container that has food that so far the district has mostly paid for. That's in East Sooke. And although we do have, some Sooke residents that are living, God, forget the name of it. Having said that, we've already contributed pretty much all the funding for this thing. I think it's time for someone else to step up. And it's not actually in Sooke. So I disagree.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for $2,000. We have it seconded, so I'm gonna call the question. All those in favor? All those against? So that is passed 3-2. All right, next, do we have anything else? We must have
So just to Benjamin, it was $2,000.
2,000, not 4. Ooh, I saw that
Or
flash
Mr.
up my
Craig, that
screen
is.
too. All right, what's the next one?
Sooke Minor Fastball Association.
Okay, call it up. All right, okay.
Scrolling down once.
Yeah, I like to see it on the screen.
There we go.
All right, Sooke Minor Fastball. All right, so, and that was number 23. And I'm thinking where we were stuck on that we were, I think it was 4-4-2-4, was it? No. No. All right, so, we have, okay, you're gonna make a motion, Amir? Kate?
I'll move that we support the application in the amount of $4,500.
Okay, want to motivate, please?
This is a service located in Sooke. It's growing in numbers. It needs equipment. This way we could sponsor the pitching machine or the replacement of the pitching machine.
Okay. Council Pearson, motivation?
No, I think buying equipment that keeps Sooke kids in Sooke and off the road and traveling is a good thing to do.
Okay, Councilor St. Pierre?
I think that it's not the role of the district to buy this equipment, and it opens us up to buying equipment for every organization. They all need equipment. I think this was said before, but we can't, out of our wheelhouse. We have people that are hungry, that are dealing with sexual abuse. We have all kinds of stuff that, quite frankly, is more critical and doesn't leave us open to a barrage of requests that we just can't answer. I can't support this.
So we have sorry, go ahead, Councilor. Yeah, you're in that blind spot.
Yeah, I'm in the blind spot.
Go
yeah.
ahead.
I can't find the policy again, but again, this year, these grants are going to get an asterisk next to them because this is the last year we'll be doing this because we're going to have the new policy. So given what that policy current states, this is a sports organization seeking a piece of gear that will serve it in long term. 4,500 is almost exactly the cost of this pitching machine, so I'm in favor of that.
Anybody else before I call a question? Hearing none, all those in favor of the $4,500? All those against? That's passed. I just like to say I'm in favor of giving them something, but the 4,500 was a bit steep. Okay, next one is Sooke Pickleball. Where did we end up with that? Yeah, I got a couple of zeros, 1K and some others, so I guess we just start it all over again if somebody wants to make a motion. So Councilor St. Pierre. We have a motion on the floor for 0. We have a seconder. So I guess that one's dead. Is there anybody else like to make another motion? Okay, Counselor Bateman.
I don't know what I suggested earlier. Was it $2,000? I said for promotional and rebranding signage. With again, with that asterisk, this is perhaps the last time that the Sooke Pickleball Club can come
Okay,
to
so we
it.
have a motion for 2K and we have, who's the seconder, sorry? Okay, Pearson, you wanna motivate, please?
Well, yes,
I thought you did.
I think I did.
Yeah, Kevin, Counselor Pearson, your comments, please.
My comments are, we're turning down kids. This is largely a adult group, and I think that they can fund themselves. I give them credit. They've done a lot. They have a lot of membership, but zero cost to the membership. I'd like to support them because it is a growing sports organization, but.
So the motion was for 2K and you support it? Okay, very good. Counselor St. Pierre.
I agree that they can do their own fundraising. They haven't done much with the membership fees. They've had lots of support. They've gone to a great place. Hats off to them. This is another one of those cases where I think we got a fledgling that's doing well and flying. Cut them loose, okay? Because they don't need our help anymore. There are other groups that do need our help, and they're like I said, like we're saying, we've seen groups that are serving really vulnerable populations that we're cutting back on, including youth. Just can't agree with it.
Mayor Tate?
No, I'm glad that they're doing well and they're well established. But we're turning down youth. It's been said. We've been cutting back on programming for, we weren't going to fund the full amount. We had disagreement over the pitching machine earlier. And yet I don't know quite what we're funding here for the pickleball players. Like many of the other ones have young people that you have to come out as a family to maintain courts and to do all these things. And in some of I don't know what we're funding, and just when we're not funding programs for youth and the vulnerable, and this group does have the ability to put in a membership fee and to do some active fundraising, just like every other young group. I don't understand why they are unable to do that when young people are out in the pouring rain collecting bottles and all of that to be able to carry on. So at this time, no, I'm not comfortable funding.
Okay, lastly with me, again, the stickler point of they're having a very large group and there are no membership fees. They could raise $2,000 very quickly. So I can't support this motion. So I will call the question. All those in favor of the 2,000? Okay, all those against? That is defeated. So no 2,000.
0 or 2,000. So
0.
oh, is that how that works?
Well, unless somebody wants to make another motion, but I mean, that motion was for 2,000 was defeated. Sir, go ahead.
No, it was 2,000.
No, when you need to get a seconder.
There was no second.
Oh, there was no seconder, so it wasn't defeated.
It just
That was my procedural question. Can we actually do this now?
Yeah.
No one seconded it.
Right.
Yeah, but this was
This
2,000.
was seconded and discussed and it was defeated. So,
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
okay, next, what do we got? All right,
Yes, Sooke Shelter Society.
I can't, where the hell we were with that?
With this one, we were a bit on the fence because they are receiving provincial funding now,
Right, yeah.
as it should be the case. So
Somebody want to make a motion to get it on the floor and then we can put this one. Well, I'm certainly not in favor of $7,000. I can tell you that. So you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for 0. If anyone wants to second it for discussion, maybe.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay,
So it's
so
on
we
the
have a
floor.
motion for 0 and we have a seconder. Motivate, please.
Okay, so the Sooke Shelter Society does great work. Nobody's going to deny that. They've been stepping up. They've been doing good work in the community, and we need them to continue. Having said that, advocacy efforts have paid off. The province has actually stepped up to the plate. they're actually paying a huge amount of their fairly substantial budget. I don't think they're in a place where we are needed anymore. And when we're successful in the province taking over things that they should be doing, like dealing with homelessness, we should step aside. We have other places where our money and our efforts are needed. At this point, they have a substantial budget to cover the costs, and it's coming from the right place.
Mayor Tate?
I appreciate the work that we're doing. I also value the work that Councillor Bateman is doing, as well as our staff, including our base commander Wilcox, in supporting the shelter, our own staff, as well as bylaw. So part of what this request is for is to help with tarps and tents and sleeping bags and other pieces to offer relief. Which leads to another problem where we're picking some items up in our parks. Like the very items we're donating, we're picking up after the fact. So they are receiving funding from the province that does need to continue to increase. And we are providing tremendous in-kind support through not just your work, but district of staff, district of Sooke staff, bylaw, police and fire. And that is not noted here, but that is all a significant amount of in-kind support that we are giving.
Okay, we had a motor, that was 0-0. Okay, so now I will come to Councillor Bateman. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I would, those are very good points you've just made. And again, with a new community investment strategy policy, it asks like this. These asks have also been feasible at the time we had a significant COVID reserve fund. And this is where the money would come from. That COVID reserve fund is probably gone by the end of, by next year, right? So this is the last dance. So I'd like to, I'll be voting against the motion.
Councillor Pearson.
Yeah, tremendous work. This is the very, very tail end of the people using the services. This is the people who are living hard. This is the people who are out in the environment and in the environment. And it can be harsh, and it can be the difference between being warm and breaking into some place to stay warm. So I can't support 0. I hear all the comments from my colleagues across the table, and I feel, torn on this one, but I don't want another group of people who are the most vulnerable, the lowest at risk in this, to be told no. I can't support 0.
Okay, lastly for me, I had written in here 2 days ago 0. And I think we give the shelter a great deal of support, and I'm very proud of the work they're doing. I know when I go over there with the food bank on a monthly basis, so the homeless get support, and there are also those beds there that people shouldn't be sleeping in the bushes, and I know some of them will because they don't want to be in any institution at all. But I think it's, again, outside of our wheelhouse, so I will be supporting this motion. So with that being said, I'll call the motion is for 0, and I'll call the question. All those in favor of 0? All those against? So that motion is passed at 0, and it was 3-2, and you can note the names if you mind. What's left?
That is the last of the standalone items. Now we would review the total amounts of allocated funds to ascertain if council wanted to change any of the numbers that were penciled in for any decisions by consensus that were not voted on. And after council is done tweaking, then we would seek a motion to the effect of adopting all of the decisions that are remaining. Let me know if that needs clarification.
So right now we're at 106,650. We got 72,000 from the community grants. We have 32 from the COVID start and 2,000 from the Climate Action Committee. So I would say we're over budget on the community grants, are we not? 65, we got 72. So, okay, now I'll go to council. So I think Councillor St. Pierre wanted to speak first, so I'll go him first, Mayor, and then I'll come to you. No, okay, Mayor Tate, you have the floor.
I'll make a motion then that that council direct staff to contribute 7,000 from council contingency. And I'll motivate if that's seconded.
Okay, we have a motion to move 7,000 from council contingency. We have a seconder. You can motivate, please, Mayor.
Yes, I know that council has sat through you've read all the materials, you've heard all of the various presentations, we've deliberated over this today and landed on some amounts. It's never what you want to do. I would love to fund everything to the maximum that we can, but there's only so many funds, and I recognize what the budget impact that is coming to residents already. And it's going to be compounded by the other entities that are also putting through increases. And everyone who is accessing a program in our community will also have a impact because they're all going to cost more. So at some point, I think we need to call it a day. This puts the 65,000 at the budgeted amount. We've accessed some COVID restart funds, some climate action. It leaves a little bit left over for whatever may arise for the remainder of the year. And it still leaves council contingency relatively healthy. It's $7,000 to come online with the budget. So, and then we
Seconder,
could call it a day.
motivate.
No, I think that there's been fairly wholesome deliberation across the political spectrum here, and I think that we've arrived at a number that I think is palatable, I guess. It's probably the way I would say it. So I support the motion.
Anybody else speak? Councillor St. Pierre?
I will also support the motion. I would, however, wonder whether or not the SPA funding covers some of the arts projects and keep us within budget. Because I suspect that it might be able to. I think that'll be up to staff to determine eligibility and so on and so forth. And I don't know if at this point we can transfer from one to the other or what that would look like. And maybe it's just not worth doing. But I think in the future, I would love to see art installations coming out of the SPA. And I think that would keep us within budget this year.
Okay, Councillor Bateman, then I will.
Yeah, I'll just say again, this new community investment policy will be a game changer in terms of how we approach these grants. It's been a pleasure hearing from everyone who's made these submissions. It's remarkable amount of work going on, and I wish we could have funded them all fully, but fair game. And I do encourage the Sooke Soccer Club to return and seek additional funding, because that is yeah, that's my one regret today. Well, a couple.
Yeah. Okay, last for me, again, it certainly has some few regrets, and I certainly hate saying no to people. Unfortunately, we're paid to, not much, but we're paid to make these decisions, and sometimes they're very difficult. And I must say, I appreciate my colleagues' comments. I don't always agree with them, but I really do respect where they come from. They explain their positions very strongly, and I can appreciate that, and I very much respect that. This is an interesting thing in democracy. We have money, and we managed to pretty much pull it off. Certainly a lot more than I originally budgeted for personally, but I can't disagree with some of the arguments that made me want to give more to some of these organizations. So with that being said, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. So now we just need, go ahead.
Thank you. I'll just request that the slide with the remainder of the resolutions be pulled up so that council can make a motion. So just one moment, please.
Ooh, that ain't it.
Do we to read that out?
The motion is on the screen before you. It is not required to be read out.
Oh,
And
thank
on
God.
the break, I cross-referenced with Mr. Curry to ensure that it is accurate based on council's decisions.
So can we have a motion to move that through? Mayor Tate, seconded by Councillor St. Pierre. Any discussion to the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. With that being said, is there any other business? I hear it's hearing none, then I'll
No,
have a
I
motion.
was just gonna add that maybe at another time, sorry, that we do have some follow-up work to do in terms of advocacy. We'll leave that for now on
Sure.
where that is. So I think it's just helpful if council, if you've had some notes, just to keep them and we can think about when a good time for that may be. It likely is UBCM on some of the items that are coming up, in particular where it's advocacy to the province. And then you mentioned the policy change and also just a follow-up with the community association, because the conversation that I had with one of the directors was looking at funding their entity. They'll take care of all of the user groups so that we don't have both happening at the same time. And so that would be another conversation I had, but that ties into service agreements. And I think
Okay.
just leave it at that.
Councillor St. Pierre.
In line of business that, we could also discuss, and I'd love to see about some sort of report from staff or maybe talking to some of the applicants would be around supporting Fred Mill with some kind of a tent structure. I think that if we were investing in something like a trailer that could be pulled with a tent in it, potentially with risers available, it would support our entire arts community, not in the same way that an arts center would or a huge venue, but we can't actually afford that right now. Having said that, with the support of a number of arts groups that make use of, this type of equipment and would otherwise have to rent it, maybe we can make something happen to be really good for the community. I'm not sure what that looks like in terms of
I know the service clubs would be able to get behind that. Maybe they.
So maybe getting a partnership between the district service clubs, the various arts groups that need this particular sort of thing. And I think maybe talk to Ms. Scott about what that might look like. Not my bailiwick, but I feel like it's an idea worth pursuing.
Okay, Mary, you have something else to say?
Yeah, just on that though, why don't we wait until we see how it goes this year? I don't want to have our staff directed to do something. I'd rather wait till the fall fair does their year. What worked, what didn't work, how did it go? And then let's have that conversation as opposed to right now when it hasn't even happened. They may find through it that, you know what, this or that would actually work better, or maybe this location didn't work. But let's just have the event first, and then it'll be the case of regrouping to see what makes sense.
No, absolutely. I wasn't saying go out and buy a tent right this minute.
Yeah.
We don't know what size we want. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I think it'll come up in conversations with the community because I know the service clubs, we have a number of tents. We bought some fairly big ones and, but we may need to buy another one. So, maybe they could spearhead it. We'll find out. But I agree with the mayor. Let's wait and see how they make out this year and go from there. So if there's nothing else, you want to speak again? Oh, good. So we have a motion to adjourn. All right, we have a seconder. We're not going to have a whole lot of discussion. All those in favor? Yay, we're done. Thanks.